This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Bring it the length, fellas, and hit a three. 2-point game, 6 seconds to go. Halliburton driving. He's in the lane. He nearly lost it. He backs up and unloads a three. Oh! That did not happen! It hit the back of the rim. It popped high into the air, and it dropped gently through the net.
자, 언더독인 인디애나가 익숙한 상황을 맞이한다. 하리버튼 버텨내는데요.
Halliburton de 3, caiu!
E a falta?
3 pontos e a falta!
Here comes Halliburton across the timeline. Cross court, Neesmith into the corner. Can Bryant do it again? You know he can! You know he can! Number 3 with a three. The end of the forecourt, Halliburton all the way to the goal. He lobbed it to the rim. Checkmate! Checkmate! Toppin with a dunk. 7 seconds left. Time will run out. And the Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers. Halliburton has it with 3, driving with 2, pulling up, and hitting with 0.3 of a second to go. How many more times can this team do that?
It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining! Timeout, OKC! Tyrese Halliburton does it again!
McConnell dances, spins, fumbles, picks it up, and can't finish in front. Rebound to the grateful Nembhard over on the left wing. It was tipped in his direction. He grabbed it and laid it in. And then McConnell steals, and the Pacers get 4 quick points in a matter of seconds. Under 8 seconds to play. McConnell on the drive in the lane. Open man, and Toppin missed the 3. Rebound punched outside. Shepard fires from the top. He hit it, and that's going to count. He hit a 3 as time expired. The lead is 30.
Yeah! That's how we feel!
Now tell me how you love it. You know you're at the top and only heaven's right above it.
That is a college anthem right above it right there, Mark Dykton. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We are back tonight. The Indiana Pacers start up yet another season. It'll be 7:30 inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse tonight. Some national eyes on the Pacers as this is a ESPN broadcast. And as those highlights played, Mark, I thought to myself, damn, I don't know if I'm ready to fully let go of last season.
There were so many memories just going through the audio I had saved and everything like that. I'm like, my God, what a fun season that was. What so many moments.
I'm not allowed to text that girl again. I'm not allowed to. No. I have to fully move on.
You must move on, my friend.
Okay.
Well, and I started starting 5 yesterday because I just
let me be clear, when I text, that doesn't mean she responds.
She's already blocked your number. No, I started starting 5 yesterday because we were on vacation when it dropped, so I didn't have time to watch it. And even just watching the first couple minutes, I'm like, oh man.
I know.
Oh, man.
It puts you right in the feels right
Hit you right in the
I was
heart.
going to say, you don't have to get more than 3 minutes into it before all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, did I just smile and cry and do all the emotional things
I know.
within the first 2 minutes of it? So great work on that. That is, of course, Mark Dykton's excellence. I'm Kevin Bowe and James Boyd. Alongside, it'll be us 3 here coming up this morning and tomorrow. We got a loaded one for you. I will introduce him as former Pacer ball boy. Some might call him Pro Bowl tight end. Jack Doyle going to join us coming up at 8 o'clock, diehard Pacer fan. He'll join us here, talk about the Colts season. Thad Matta at 8:30 as we continue our Butler conversation. Scott Agnes at 9. We'll try to make some money for a second straight week with Jason Hammer at 9:30. James, what are your overall thoughts leading into tonight? Obviously, it's a bit of a different feel. I'll speak for myself, but where are you at looking ahead of this Pacer season?
Number one, I would expect Halliburton to be in the building, so I would expect some sort of round of applause, just knowing that this is going to be very hard for him to not play. And he's talked about that already on a few podcasts in different places. I'm sure during Pacers Media Day that it'll really hit him that he's missing the season when he isn't able to suit up. So I feel for him in that regard. And then as far as the actual team goes, without him, man, just wondering what your identity will look like when so much of it was consumed by one player in a good way. Because like I keep saying, Halliburton is the system. he is one of the most unique players in the league. It's going to be very hard to replace that, and honestly impossible to replace that. So how do you still try to play, quote unquote Pacers basketball when you don't have Mr. Pacer currently? So very curious to see how that all works out. And then, like most people, curious to see beyond the core four, center rotation, bench rotation, and then how can you scratch and fight and claw and hopefully make yourselves competitive night to night.
A 7.5-point underdog, the Pacers against the Thunder here tonight. When I go over the injury report, I don't know if I need to say 82 nights out of the year Tyrese Halliburton won't play. That's obvious. Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy sounds like they are good to go. We'll see about, again, what that point guard rotation looks like as Quentin Jackson is out for the Thunder. No Jalen Williams and no Alex Caruso. Don't have to remind Pacer fans what he did as a thorn in the side throughout the NBA Finals. He is in concussion protocol. I want to say Lou Dort maybe is questionable, and Kaysen Wallace. So Thunder a little bit banged up after that double overtime game last night. Boy, we had quite a few performances last night in the association that stood out. More impressed by Wembanyama or more impressed by Anthony Edwards? Or both?
Ooh, probably Wemby, just because I haven't seen anything like that before. He made me stay up and lose sleep because I was just thinking to myself.
That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
Can you make me stay up and lose sleep?
I kept thinking the Spurs are going to have to pay that man $1 billion.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was video game-like to see him do the things he was doing. And I was like, man, there's no way you were already coordinated at that size and you became more coordinated, like a better ball handler, a better defender. And he made Anthony Davis, who, by the way, is one of the best defenders ever and will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, look like a traffic cone or a lamp post. So that was remarkable stuff that I saw from him. Anthony Edwards, obviously, big shot maker. And he was making some big shots certainly last night to get them over the hump out in Portland. And then I also throw one more in there, Kevin, the rookie VJ Edgecombe from the Sixers scored 34 points in his debut. I believe it's the most in Sixers history, past Allen Iverson, who scored 30 in his rookie debut. So shout out to the answer. But I mean, yeah, basketball is back.
Yeah, the Sixers are kind of interesting because, they've got the old dudes that you're like, wait, can they stay healthy? And then Edgecombe is just this, unbelievable
Oh, he's a freak athlete.
Ball of energy. If anybody watched Baylor last year, they saw that. Yeah, Edgecombe had 34. Again, Anthony Edwards, 41, a dagger there to kind of ice that. Wembanyama in just 30 minutes had 40 and 15. And the highlights are they're just stupid.
Just like little Tykes hoop.
It's
just you and Max Bowen.
It's AI generated stuff. Just what he is able to do. That was against Cooper Flagg. 10-10 for Cooper Flagg. Rough shooting night in the debut.
I'll say this, and I know not a basketball show. Don't make him a point guard for the love of all things holy. I'm like, why is he bringing the ball up?
Yeah, that is a little head scratching to me as well. We should mention Miles Turner. Yes. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Not used to that for Miles. 3 blocks, 4 of 12 shooting as the Bucks were able to control the is it the Wizards? Why did I was thinking Mystics in my head for a second there.
Mystics might put up a better fight.
Well, yeah, that is probably fair. So we'll get you set coming up tonight. Again, Pacers and Thunder inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Colts back to practice yesterday. I'd say relatively healthy. Heading into Week 8, Jalen Jones returned to practice. We'll get more into the third-year corner and what potentially his return could mean for them. It is first versus worst on Sunday. That's how I'll label this one. The Colts are first in so many categories, and the Titans are dead last, really worse than the Jets in so many categories. And not only are the Titans bad, but their 3 highest-paid players didn't practice yesterday.
Not ideal.
So they are also hurt with their best players.
I saw Cam Ward out there, asking the media to recite play calls, and I was thinking, it's getting late early in Tennessee.
Yeah, that is a good way to put it.
If I saw Daniel Jones, if he walked in and actually tried to give us like a play call to repeat, I feel like Shane Steichen would tell him to, 1, shut up, and 2, get back, to the actual real playbook.
I had to laugh.
I don't have anything against it, by the way. I just think that it's kind of funny.
I forget which player said it yesterday in the locker room, but it's a quote that I'm definitely not used to hearing in an NFL locker room, certainly not used to hearing in the month of October. Some player uttered the phrase of we know it would mean the world to them to beat us. And I'm like, that quote is saved for like Georgia against Samford or like Alabama against McNeese State. It's not safe for NFL locker rooms, let alone in week 8. We're not in week 17 where this team is like 2-14 and they're not wrong on the quote, but it was just funny to hear that. I'm like, damn, life is good for you and life is really bad for them when that quote gets uttered.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly in a matchup where the Colts are the heavy favorites, and rightfully so. You can spin it each way you want, talent-wise, coaching-wise, scheduling, whatever. I mean, this should be a fairly easy victory for the Colts. And I know I get it any given Sunday, but, man, the way these Colts have been locked in and knowing how Shane Steichen was with us yesterday, he was very locked in. I would imagine he's probably already finding some way to tell him, hey, don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I thought his dog got hit by a car listening to how subdued Shane Steichen was yesterday. Some Ben Matherin audio on no extension for him. We'll get to that upcoming. And James, a little tease, you had a lengthy conversation with A.D. Mitchell.
I did. Shout out to the wide receiver in his second season. Very candid, honestly, about everything that he's kind of gone through as a pro, especially this season. So certainly want to get in some of that for sure.
Looking forward to it. We'll get you set again a little over 12 hours away from Pacers and Thunder starting back up this 2025-2026 season and continue to look ahead to Week 8 as the Colts and Titans, reminder, 4:25 kickoff coming up Sunday inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Us three, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, thanks for spending your Thursday morning with us right here on The Fan, 93.5, 107.5.
On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
A little over 12 hours away from Pacers and Thunder inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse tonight. Pretty much everybody, I feel like, in the NBA has already played. The Pacers will unveil a Eastern Conference Champions banner, along with, I assume, opening night routine, James, as everyone gets announced, right? So Tyrese Halliburton, I assume, would be individually announced to the crowd?
I would think so, and certainly you would expect a huge roar whenever that happens.
Indeed, and again, the Thunder come into this game having won in double overtime on Tuesday night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that matchup, does it go to Benedict Matherin after a series of Andrew Nembhard?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, him or Aaron Nesmith, although Aaron Nesmith usually has trouble with SGA, as most defenders do. So, hey, got to earn your keep. You want to get that, extra bag later on in your career, or later on down the line, then perhaps you do have to.
We'll play some audio upcoming on Benedict Matherin and not getting that contract extension, but that will be a storyline to watch all season long, how the Pacers handle those defensive matchups given their situation. So again, that's 7:30 tonight. It is also on ESPN, but year 38 of Mark Boyle and year 20 of Chris Denari and company continues for your viewing pleasure. All right, yesterday up at West 56th Street, I'd say a pretty decent day injury report-wise, James. Josh Downs back to practice in a red jersey. Ashton Doolin back to practice. Defensive end, those are the question marks. Samson Ebukam listed as week-to-week. Tyquan Lewis did not practice as well. He is listed as day-to-day. We'll see about Kenny Moore. It was listed as an Achilles injury for him after he played 60 snaps on Sunday. Is that just simply a veteran semi-rest day for him? That'll be something to keep an eye on. And Jalen Jones back to practice for the first time in over a month.
Yes, he was very excited to be back out there. We spoke to him in the locker room, and he was just saying how difficult this has been for him. Has never really dealt with a major injury that's taken him out for a significant amount of time during the season. So mental hurdles are there as well, but he was saying, hey, I want to just get back out there, help this defense, and they certainly could use him if he's able to go. I wouldn't, think that he's available this week, but hey, the sooner the better.
Again, a 21-day window with these guys that come off of injured reserve before you have to make a decision on them. So you could, to James's point, have him practice for multiple weeks before you bring him up to the 53-man roster. All right, last night in the association, certainly the busiest night of the year so far. If I took Victor Wembanyama off the table, do you have a favorite moment or the most impressive thing from last night?
Honestly, can I go inside the NBA on ESPN?
Oh,
I was loving to see those guys again, and honestly,
I watched a little, and if you would have told me I was watching TNT, I would have believed you.
And that's the best compliment I could give. I was kind of worried, like, what are they going to change? But it seems like they just literally changed the logo and let those guys do their thing. And so I got a kick out of, all the jokes from Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, and, of course, Shaquille O'Neal. So I'm looking forward to, again, losing sleep over those guys because they just make me laugh so hard, man.
Yeah, it is an absolute great watch. All right, college football coming up this weekend, and West Lafayette is homecoming for the Boilers. They will try to get their first win of the Big Ten slate, and same goes for their opponent, Rutgers. 2.5-point underdog, and this one is Purdue. I'm pretty sure they are. I guess I need to double-check that. We'll see about their starting quarterback. Is it going to be Ryan Brown after he got hurt against Northwestern? And down there in Bloomington, 2.5-point underdog is Purdue at home, actually. So, wow, nothing says quite the humbleness of a winless Big Ten team coming in your own building, and they're favored. But, again, maybe quarterback health has something to do with it. Quarterback health for UCLA. I think Nico is going to play based off some of the reports out there in LA, but this is a big old spread. It's starting to rise. Indiana north of a 25-point favorite. Caught Omar Cooper Jr. on with JMV yesterday afternoon. Great listen. And that is a dude that him and Elijah Surratt, I just love watching those two play football.
Yeah.
The physicality they play with, I don't think you see that, frankly, that much in the college game, particularly at that position. Omar Cooper Jr., a little baby Debo to him. And James, he's one of the few guys left playing very meaningful roles from the Tom Allen era.
Yeah.
So much of it is the JMU infusion. So much of it is a little portal, like Fernando Mendoza. But Omar Cooper Jr. was a guy, and he shared with John. It was a great story yesterday about he's certainly thought about transferring out there, and he has been a great weapon in staying in Bloomington.
Absolutely. I think one of the best parts about when you do have a dominant team like IU, and of course, all the scouts are going to be coming to your game and watch the quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, you get eyes on the other guys. And so I think when you look at Elijah Sherrod and Omar Cooper, you can say they raised their stock, especially in a year where all eyes are on you. So those guys are making themselves some money, not only in NIL, but perhaps for their future pro careers.
College basketball, Purdue will have their first exhibition game tomorrow. That is inside of Rupp. Listen to Matt Painter earlier in the week. He has not only been a fan of the marquee exhibition games for a couple of years now, he is a fan of going on the road. So they went to Creighton. They went to Arkansas. Now they go to Kentucky. They actually, and I don't want to make too much out of a win or loss in the exhibition slate, they actually lost both of those games, Arkansas and Creighton. But Painter was kind of saying earlier in the week, when we have at Alabama coming up in a few weeks, I want some semblance of us having to play on the road before that. And definitely makes sense because, they have obviously had non-conference success really like no other in recent years. Indiana's got Baylor. Don't think it's the same old Baylor, but certainly an upgrade in competition here for Indiana as they conclude their exhibition slate Sunday afternoon inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That is indeed Scott Drew. And lastly, we'll preview it more tomorrow, but playoff-wise, a little chill in the air around the state from an IHSCA standpoint. I don't know if we went to 6A, but I think over the years as, enrollments have shifted and schools have shifted around classes, this first Friday of the playoff slate is kind of reserved for the small schools.
Yeah.
I want to say we have one 5A game maybe, but for the most part, it is all about 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and even some of it, particularly 1A and 2A, we don't get a lot of that locally. So we do have some local games we'll hit on tomorrow, but for the most part, it is a night for the smaller schools and a night for those around the state of Indiana. So we'll preview that coming up on the other side, and definitely tomorrow. Speaking of that, Jack Doyle going to join us coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Thad Matta as well. But up next, what are we looking for tonight from the Pacers and Thunder? I might throw some minutes at you. I'm very unsure of what the minutes are going to look like.
Say minutes? I should have brought my basketball sneakers.
I knew Kevin was a 1 minute man. I knew it.
Wow.
Missy Elliott said it in the early 2000s. Kevin's bringing it back in 2025.
A little early for that, but honestly, sometimes you just pray to get to a minute. That is the voice of Mark Dykton. I am Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, opposite as well. Hell of a start here on this Thursday. Jeff Ricker, clearly our boss is not here. We'll be back. It's the Fan Morning Show.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Do not adjust your dial.
Buck down to one. Got to pull. Nembhard. Halliburton, no! Say it with your chest, Tyrese. Halliburton takes it in the backcourt. Crosses over on Beverly. Float game for the win! And one! Tyrese! The terror! Turner with the block shot. The other way, top end! Oh! Wow! Through the lace. You did see that, right, partner? I saw it. Oh, my goodness. Obi topping. Halliburton double team. Shot clock at 4. Nembhard's got to put it up. Step back. His three-pointer. Nembhard knocks the three down. Timeout, Knicks.
17,000 on their feet. Siakam, a three. Siakam hits the three. 6 1/10. Pacers have the lead.
Neesmith with a running start. Oh, my goodness. Just destroyed it. Aaron Neesmith. 10 seconds. McConnell, baseline drive. Gives it up. Toppin. Corner three. And rattles in. Indiana pulls off a shocker.
Johnson cut off against Murphy with 6 to shoot.
And blocked by smothered chicken. Please give me some smothered chicken on that one. Pacers down 3. Halliburton's got the ball. Halliburton rises up. And there's a whistle. Oh my goodness. Tyrese Halliburton hits a 3 and is fouled. You have got to be kidding me.
I want to see the faces of those guys.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
We're getting started again tonight inside of Gamebridge
Smothered
Fieldhouse.
chicken! Give me some smothered chicken on that one.
Was that James Boyd or was that Quinn Buckner?
Oh, let's go.
Year 20 for Chris Teneri. Again, even though it's on ESPN tonight, you will have opposite from a FanDuel standpoint there. And, of course, on our airwaves, year 38 for Mark Boyle. So very fortunate in this market to have such legends over the years on it, and we'll continue to get you set for that. Just a reminder, Sunday it'll be a little different from a listening standpoint on our airwaves. Colts Titans, that's going to be on our sister station. That's 97.1 Hank FM. You can catch the ride to kick off with JMV, of course, and that Colts pregame huddle. That'll start at 12:30 right here on the Fan. Then once game time starts, sister station, 4:25 kickoff there, 97.1. The reason for that is you have Pacers and T-Wolves. Speaking of Michael Grady, whose voice you heard there, probably one of the epic regular season games of last year was when Obi Toppin went off in Minnesota there. The Pacers will be in Minnesota. Our coverage will begin at 6:30 p.m. So instead of having this fourth quarter flipping over stations, Colts Titans will be on 97.1, and Pacers and T-Wolves will be right here on the Fan, 93.5 and 107.5. James, we've talked about this a little bit, but that early start to the season schedule for the Pacers, I think it's one of the more difficult starts you could have, certainly of many teams in the league. Again, tonight's a Thunder. Then they will go back-to-back this weekend, Memphis and Minnesota. They'll wrap up with Dallas on Wednesday. So it's a 3-game road trip. Memphis, Minnesota back-to-back, then Dallas on Wednesday. You come home, it's a 4-game homestand. Within that 4-game homestand, Golden State and Milwaukee, 2 teams that, kind of speak for themselves. And then you go out west for 4. So, right out of the gate, I think it's a very difficult schedule, and you're doing it, without T.J. McConnell for probably 10 to 12 games as well.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to see tonight who takes on those backup point guard duties and how does that all look, because that is a big, big role for an NBA team. This isn't football, obviously, where the backup quarterback never really plays unless something catastrophic happens. Backup point guards in the NBA really, really matter, and T.J. McConnell, I thought, was arguably the best backup point guard in the league last year. So, does that mean the rookie, Taylor Peter, will get a crack at point guard? I've been impressed with what I've seen from him so far, but at the same time, you're relying on some guys who probably haven't been in those roles before.
Speaking of
has the bet been placed, Kevin?
The bet, yeah, it does need to be placed now that you say that. Yeah,
we need that number. We need that number too.
I'm going to confirm with Jason Hammer. Him and I were chatting about this earlier. I think the bet I'm going to go with is the Pacers as a top 6 seed. I think he got that at plus like 330.
Mm-hmm. So win total. You're just going to go.
I like that one.
Okay.
that is, and it probably has a little more juice, honestly, than win total, to be honest with you. So for our non-bettors out there, that would be like a $10 bet to win $33 if it was at plus 330. So Jason Hamburg join us at 9:30. I want to confirm with him and go from there.
Max Bones College Fund and Rosie's College Fund is, what is this? How many years in a row have you hit now? 3 years?
I think this will be year 4.
Yeah.
Yes. So knock on that wood. You mentioned backups. Are we going to get our first Riley Leonard NFL snap on Sunday?
Garbage time, you mean?
I was going to say, you got to be clear here, Kevin.
Yes. Yeah.
Knock on some wood, man.
Thank you guys for making me clarify that. Yes, garbage time. Thank you, Mark.
I think it's a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
The way this team has been scoring, man, you get up in the third or fourth quarter and you're up 20 points, put the rookie in, let him get his first NFL experience, and let the Notre Dame / Colts fans really bask in the glory of him being QB2.
I'm going to throw some minutes at you tonight for the Pacers. And to be fair, James, I got no freaking idea. Like, I have no idea what the second unit is going to look like.
I know.
And so this is exercise I did yesterday. I'm like, Kevin, this just sounds stupid. But here we go. I got Nembhard playing 32 minutes. Matherin 32, Neesmith 32, Pascal 32. Just throwing rough numbers at some starters. Okay?
That's fair.
My center combo in some way, shape, or form, this doesn't add up to 48. Some of these guys will play power forward, mainly Obi. I got Isaiah Jackson playing 20, starting. I got Jay Huff getting 12 minutes, and I got Obi Toppin getting 20. I think you're going to see some Obi at the 5 lineups.
I think that could be their best lineup. And like I said yesterday...
Is that what you finish the game with, if it's close?
Ooh, I think it probably depends on the opponent. Maybe if you want a bit more rebounding, but even then, like you look at some of these guys that they have in center position, they don't rebound that well either. But I think it might be a field thing for Rick Carlisle, where you would probably prefer to end with that lineup, but you kind of got to go based off of how the game's been flowing. Because like I said, I think that's a gimmicky kind of lineup. Not that they can't be competitive or successful, but I just think when you have Obi at the 5, that has like a shelf life on it. And that clock is ticking as much as he plays at that position before teams kind of figure that out. So
is tonight more of a true center lineup then, because it's Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein?
I do think you probably need a little more true center. And I mean, even then, looking back at the finals, I'm trying to go back too far. You were able to get away with a lot of Obi Toppin stuff, but again, you had Tyrese Halliburton running the show. I think that changes so much when it comes to shot quality, you know, how evolved guys are on the offensive end, how you're able to turn defense into offense so quickly. So if that isn't happening, yeah, I do think you probably want to have more traditional big out there because, you know, OKC with their, you know, length and size, they're going to try to obviously crash the glass on you. And I think that, if anything, if they're off, if they could just get 5 to 6 extra shots at the rim, then that could be the game.
Again, no McConnell, so the other bench minutes I threw out there, I do think you could see some point forward from Jarris Walker. I gave him 20 for tonight. I gave Ben Shepherd 16. Johnny Furphy, probably his first kind of true meaningful clock in the NBA. How about 14 minutes for the man down under? And then I will go with Talon Peter, the second-round pick out of Liberty, also getting some point guard run, which he is not a point guard.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle shared with us. He literally went up to Talon Peter the other day. He's like, hey, man, you ever played point guard? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, this is the NBA. This is not, you know, fourth grade Romeoville, you know, whatever, rec ball here. Talon Peter.
Shout out to fourth grade rec ball. Won a championship with my sister back in the day.
Can your sister hoop?
My sister was like Ron Artest.
Wow.
Oh, throwing elbows,
let's go.
kicking groins.
So she had to, you know, the basketball career did not last long for my fiery and spirited sister.
Hey, you can go a long way if you're going to play some defense like that. I'll give Talon Peter 10 minutes.
Okay. I think I can get with that. I'm very curious to see what Benedict Matherin's role looks like in his minutes and what that entails on both ends of the floor because, like we said, you want to be more Pacers-like and move the ball and make quick decisions. But at the same time, I'm like, wait a second. If things get stagnant, I want to be able to hit the Benedict Mathurin will get a bucket button. Because you're going to need that, I think, more often than you did last year with Halliburton in the lineup. And then defensively, like you said, because of his size and length. And I do think Matherin has like the physical archetype to kind of, you know, be a fairly good defender. But, you know, if you're relying on him to do that, how much does he have at the other end as well? So I'm very curious to see how all this shakes out because you're having to sacrifice certain things to sort of flip your strengths a little bit because Andrew Nembhard, for example, is such a great defender, but you just can't expect him to do that and also be your primary ball handler for, 35 minutes a night.
Mark, let's get this audio again. For those that missed it earlier in the week, you did have a deadline for extensions. We saw Aaron Nesmith get his. They tacked 2 more years onto his extension. He already was with the team for 2 years, and now it became, I guess, a 4-year deal. So he is definitely part of this core here for the foreseeable future. Benedict Matherin, which I don't think it was very much a surprise to us, no extension. So right now he will be a restricted free agent coming up next offseason. So the Pacers will have first negotiation rights, match offer sheets, all of that. Benedict Matherin yesterday on the no contract extension.
I mean, listen, it's not that big of a deal, man. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I would have loved to, but I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that, man. I'm not worried about that, man. It's just about going to the game, going to the season. My mind's straight, knowing that I can have a great season. And I can actually be who I've been wanting to be. So, it's no worries for me about no extension.
So again, I think Matherin kind of sides with everyone's general thinking. And James, when we've talked about this over the last few months, I think I understand why both sides would probably say, you know what, let's see this play out. Depending how it goes, you might get an answer in February around the trade deadline.
Yes, this is true.
That's just a bit of reality that you can't totally ignore.
And I believe Matherin is going to be a restricted free agent, correct?
Yes.
After this season, meaning the Pacers can match any offer, but like you said, you might get some movement before then.
And I mean, him guarding Shea tonight, that just sounds wild to me. I
know.
You're so used to him and Nembhard. We were ingrained with that for 7 games, and obviously their history growing up and everything. Because
I thought Jarrett's out there as well. Does he draw a little of the SGA assignment given his length?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because again, Jarrett Walker didn't play in the finals.
Right. So, that's a very interesting proposition. And SGA, the guy he scores in his sleep. I was watching the other night in the season opener, and it's like, oh, he's not doing much, and then he ended up with 35. So, yeah, again, this will be a very strong test to open the year for you against the defending champs, obviously. But at the same time, I would expect Benedict Matherin in particular to be a guy who, when he says he doesn't care, I think he does care, but I think he approaches basketball with the right level of brashness, with this I don't care what anybody else thinks mentality that is honestly kind of endearing when it comes to him as a player. This is the same guy who caught a LeBron James before he played an actual NBA game and hasn't blinked since.
How about this news here from Shams Charania?
Oh, Shams, yeah.
Miami guard Terry Rozier arrested early Thursday morning as part of an FBI sports betting gambling probe. Eastern District of New York and FBI Director Kash Patel will hold a press conference at 10 a.m. Eastern to announce arrest from investigation. Oh, boy. That's a little bit more prominent than what's-his-name's brother, Porter.
Yeah.
Porter Jr.?
Terry Rozier was, he's a rotation NBA player, a good NBA player, but, maybe some questions about why you weren't so good in certain games.
This is amazing to me. Terry Rozier, he's been in the league for a long time at this point. I'm going to guess this dude's made well over $100 million. What in the world, what are you getting from a gambling aspect that's satisfying your financial risk in that?
But you know what? I think...
Are you getting an adrenaline rush by hitting the under or whatever he's doing here? I don't know if he's, if he's doing it himself or if he's just simply betting on other NBA games. But, I'm just dumbfounded by seeing, particularly these guys. Again, Porter's...
Would you like to know how much money he's made, by the way?
He's got to be well over $100 million, right?
160.
Think about that.
But I also think that's why it's an addiction, though. I'm not excusing it, but I think whenever I see stuff like this and when things don't make sense,
Right.
There's the only explanation in my eyes is like you must be addicted to doing this.
Well, look at the world we live in. We have billionaires that are like, how much more money do you need? And they always say, more. So maybe,
Right. And
I'm sure we'll get more information out of this. Like, I don't know if you owed somebody some money or got in with the wrong guys, but yeah, I've talked to.
Welcome back, NBA. Here you go.
Yeah, but we've talked about this when Isaiah Rodgers went through his suspension here.
Which again, Isaiah Rodgers and like Porter's brother James. I mean, they were barely in the league at their respective points. Terry Rozier is legit.
Oh yeah. But my point about that is that I always am surprised, like you said, about the idea to do that, but also the idea that you're going to get away with it. Because if there is one thing we know about laws here in America, money laws, brother, those are hard things to, just kind of skirt. You can get away with a lot of things, but, not like paying the IRS, for example, or something like that is not one of them. So I don't understand why you think you could get away with something like that. And also, they have people who will get paid a lot of money to regulate or check any irregularities when it comes to sports betting. So if you go out there and you stink it up and you know what? Don't do it during the show, but, commercial break or after the show, you Google Terry Rozier, point shaving. There's some highlights out there where you're wondering, like, are you playing real basketball? Like, what are you doing? So, yeah, it's very interesting and certainly a world of trouble for him. But, yeah, people get paid a lot of money to make sure that you're gambling correctly because, like I said, no one's going to give up that gambling money easily.
My center expectation for the Pacers tonight, low bar.
Well, don't gamble on the game, number one.
Yeah,
but
that would be wise.
That's a low bar.
Don't hack, rebound, and Jay Huff hit an open shot.
You know what? I feel like you sound like every Indiana high school basketball coach.
Don't hack.
Rebound, crash the glass.
And hit an open shot. I don't even know if Indiana high school basketball coaches would say hit the open shot. That might be giving you too much credit.
True, but I will say this. Jay Huff can shoot.
He can.
He's a
did not
proven
shoot well
shooter.
In the preseason.
Did not. But, he's probably the exception. Now, if Isaiah Jackson said I want to step out and shoot the three ball, I'm like, crash the glass.
He's more of the don't hack. Well,
exactly.
and Huff, both of them had issues fouling.
I'm worried about the center position, though. You're right.
And like, again, Obi with that group, that's probably your best offensive group. But when you're playing Chet and you're playing Hartenstein, you probably need a little bit more of a true center in there. Rim protection was, I think, I thought Miles waned a little bit at that aspect of his career last season. But still, he offered you more than, I think, what you have right now on the roster. So those are my center expectations for tonight. Low bar, but can you check those boxes? Because in the preseason, that and turnovers was really woof in the preseason. Turnovers was really woof.
Yeah, and again, they want to play fast, but playing fast can be a detriment to you if you are not playing clean and fast because that can lead to, obviously, points off turnovers for other teams. So a lot of challenges for this Pacers team, and I think you're going to go through some growing pains, and I would caution everybody that tonight, of all nights, is going to be a test that will certainly, it might stress you out at times, but I wouldn't make it, a referendum on your entire season because we know what OKC does with their defense and how good they are. So it's almost like you're getting thrown into like the PhD course and you're just like, wait a second, I'm, trying to get a 100 level stats class done.
15 minutes away, Jack Doyle going to join us there, the Colts Pro Bowl tight end who I've enjoyed. Him and Matt Taylor have done some podcast here within the Colts season. It's a great listen. Jack kind of recapping every game, and obviously he's been very fond of the other 84 with Tyler Warren this season.
One of the more stressful days of college when you had to go to the first day of class. Like, am I in the right building? Am I in the right class? Am I going to sit here and all of a sudden they're going to say, like, welcome to Economics 400?
Yeah, I've had that happen
This is
times.
Not right.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong building. Should I go to lunch already? That was very stressful.
Struggling with the UIndy campus map, Mark Duggan?
I mean, you're always like, hey, is this the class I'm supposed to be at? Like, I think so. I'm like, oh, boy. That's not good.
Speaking of college, this guy had a great run in college to round out his collegiate career. The NFL start hasn't been maybe what many thought of. James, you think JT Tuimoloau, the rookie out of Ohio State, gets an expanded role coming up this weekend?
He should, right? I mean, logically, I feel like that's kind of similar to what we were talking about Jalen Jones. Like, who else are you going to play at that position? I mean, who else are you going to turn to if you're down two of your defensive ends? If your second-round pick from this year can't get in at that point, I'm going to start asking questions like, what's going on? We're 2 months into the season at this point, and I get that he might not be where you want him to be for a Lou Anarumo scheme that, from what I understand, talking to different players, is quite complicated. But, man, if he can't get in and you don't have any bodies, what are we doing?
Yeah, based off where the Colts are at right now, and again, Samson Ebukam listed as week to week. He had a brace on that right knee, so I would assume he's going to miss multiple games. He didn't practice yesterday. Tyquan Lewis, Shane listed him as day-to-day, so right. I feel like in that lingo, maybe there's a chance for Sunday, but if he's not going to play, Tui Maluau is probably your third DN. Now, I understand the Cam Ward game plan might be a little different than how you rush other
for sure
quarterbacks. But, this should be an expanded role for him. And Jalen Jones at corner, with him back, and then Charvarius Ward's got to miss 3 more games. There are some names at corner that, we should get these guys back, maybe sometime in November, but we should get them back. At defensive end, there's really not those guys.
Right.
Tui Maluau is probably the closest to it.
Right.
But, again, rookie all of a sudden having this huge second half of the season, I don't know if that's totally fair to throw those expectations on. What did you take from Jalen Jones chatting with the media yesterday? This hamstring injury has been very nagging for him all offseason long. Back to practice yesterday for the first time in over a month.
One, he was very adamant about practicing. That was before we even knew that he would. And, threw the question out there. He's like, I'm definitely practicing. I was like, okay, well, that's a good sign. And then he was talking about how mentally tough it's been because he had the hamstring issue pop up during training camp, missed a ton of time then, fights his way back for the season opener, and then gets hurt again first game back. And he was saying, I definitely shed some tears. Those were his quotes about that, and just kind of navigating that for the first time in his career. Because if you look at his NFL career, he's been very durable the first 2 years, and this year kind of injury plagued. And then he's kind of in a unique spot where he wouldn't really go there, Kevin. I know me and you kind of pressed him on it, like, hey, do you think you could boost his defense and more or less earn your starting job back? And he was just like, I want to just help the team. It was very business-like, but I do think, cut the cameras off, give him some truth serum. He's probably thinking, A, I want to be back healthy, but B, I want to show that you guys need me. I think they do.
Yeah, and I probably would consider myself like a member of the Jalen Jones fan club. Like, I think he's been a quality corner in the NFL.
Yeah, but, like you said, though, the narrative is, are you a Lou Anarumo fit?
Right.
But I'm like, man, looking at some of these other guys, how are you not?
Like, August 23rd, if you asked me, hey, what do you think about Jalen Jones right now, I would have said to you, I worry about him being a Lou Anarumo guy.
Right.
Not being a Lou Anarumo guy, I guess is how I should say that. And at the time, Xavier Howard was brought off the couch, and Jalen Jones just all of a sudden went to the bench. Now, I think Lou's got no choice. Whenever Jalen Jones is healthy, you have to give him an opportunity. And if Jalen can play like he did in the first 2 seasons, then I do think he can help put a little Band-Aid over that situation right now. So, there's part of me that thinks, okay, maybe this is a good opportunity for this opponent, Jalen Jones, to get a little run in the fourth quarter. And then also part of me says, well, Charvarius Ward's going to be out 2 more weeks. Maybe you look at it and say, hey, what about DK Metcalf next week? What about Drake London in a couple weeks? Do you hold off a little bit longer? But nonetheless, the fact that Jalen Jones is back to practice, good news for the Colts and their cornerback situation. All right, coming up in about 10 minutes, Jack Doyle going to join us. Thad Matta at 8:30, Pacers conversation. Be very centric coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton here. It is opening night, Pacers and Thunder here. You can hear it right here on the Fan 7:30 tip. And thank you for starting your morning with us. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
God, I can see Market Square Arena coming into focus here. Reggie Miller, Michael Jordan.
I don't think we had drone shots back then
Beautiful.
necessarily, but like I can picture just a camera on Pennsylvania Street just scanning down there, and then yes, the flock. Well, I guess maybe coming into Conseco Fieldhouse back then, and all of a sudden black socks and shaved heads.
Maybe some snow-covered streets.
Yes, indeed.
It's time for Bulls and Pacers on NBA
you've got a good
on
Marv
NBC.
Albert.
Yeah, well, I try. I work on it.
That's one of your better ones.
Thank you.
We got Marv Albert and Quinn Buckner in studio here.
Smothered chicken! Wow!
I can't wait for the first smothered chicken call.
Are we
this
not
season.
going to get very many smothered chickens with Miles gone? Is this Jay Huff or bust?
I don't know.
I feel like Benedict Matherin will give me at least one or two smothered chickens this season.
Like a breakaway block?
Yes, the
Okay.
chase down. I know he had one in the playoffs against DeAndre Hunter, I believe, where the Cavs fans were not too pleased.
That got a little chippy afterwards.
I know. So, Benedict Matherin, give me some smothered chicken, please.
Pacers Thunder coming up tonight, 7:30. We'll continue to get you set for that one. They are a notable underdog, 7.5-point underdog for this one. They will honor, it sounds like kind of unveil the Eastern Conference Championship banner. Don't expect it to be a huge production, but it sounds like they will do that here coming up for opening night. Jack Doyle going to join us here in a few. James, are the Titans good in anything?
I
stumped him.
I was thinking, man, like the movie Remember the Titans is pretty good, but the actual team right now that I'm remembering from a couple weeks ago, no, they're not good.
They have that really good running back, though.
Gosh, Remember the Titans.
I guess that's the
Lots of
one
tread
like
on the tires.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Remember the Titans is such a great flick. I will. And
How many feet are in a mile?
when
Oh,
you have this matchup,
Break my foot off in your. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
this is literally first
that
versus worst. I mean, it's the Colts are the best point differential team in the NFL, plus 96.
Which is just nuts, by the way.
The
but
Titans are the worst, minus 92. That is 188 points separate these two teams.
I was trying to do the
games.
math in my head. I'm like, do I carry the one? Do I do this?
And like the Colts are easily first, and the Titans are easily last. Like it's not like it's a close race to second on the list, or it's a close race for Tennessee and 31st on that list here. Again, I laughed inside when I heard one of the Colts players in the locker room yesterday utter the phrase, "It would mean the world to them to knock us off." How many times in an NFL locker room has a team said that about their opponent in October? This is not like a 2-15 team in December.
Yeah. And also, it's a division rival.
Right. Well, I don't know about rival, but it is a divisional opponent.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you hate each other. That's very well documented throughout the years. So, I don't know, man. I just feel for Cam Ward. I'm like, brother, you got drafted and sent to the abyss.
Titans' 3 highest paid players all missed practice yesterday. That would be Calvin Ridley, that would be Jeffrey Simmons, and that would be L'Jarius Sneed. So health also not on their side heading into Week 8. So again, Colts and Titans coming up Sunday. That is a 425er on CBS.
You mentioned your Pacers bet earlier that you were leaning towards them being the 6th seed.
Yeah, top 6 seed.
Oh, so not specifically the 6th seed? Okay.
Correct. No, just in the playoff. I got to confirm with Jason Hammer when he joins us at 9:30, but I'm pretty sure it was as a top 6 seed. Maybe it was just the playoff bracket, but again, you get the play-in games, and that's kind of weird.
Okay, because I looked at specifically them being the 6th seed specifically, and it's plus 1,200.
Yeah, no,
I'm like,
no,
oh,
no,
boy.
that's too. Yeah,
Like
I
we're
can't be-
whoa.
Can you imagine the Pacers somehow got the 5 seed and you don't win that?
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah,
plus
obviously
1,600.
those are great odds that you just laid out there, but
Terry Rozier is very interested in those numbers.
yeah, quite the news item that we'll get to in a sports check down here coming up in a few. In all seriousness about the Titans, if there is one thing, they do have Tajay Spears back. He didn't play in Week 3. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, they are healthier on their offensive line than they were in Week 3. Again, I'm really stretching here. I don't believe what I'm saying, to be clear. But if there's one thing that if you're a Titans fan and you were trying to talk yourself into it, maybe they can run it with some effectiveness with those two guys. But, yeah, I'm not holding my breath at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I'm looking at NFL Pro, which for those listening, it's like this website via NFL that you can set up and look up certain, I guess, just weird kind of random stats about certain teams. They usually give you a couple that are like positive. There are no positive ones for the Titans. They say that Cam Ward has just 4 passing touchdowns this season, fewest among all quarterbacks to make more than 5 starts. Tough sledding.
Yeah, very tough. That's why you're a 2-touchdown underdog here coming up in Week 8. All right, I mentioned it earlier. I've enjoyed the Jack Doyle podcast appearances over there on the Colts Audio Network. Him and Matt Taylor weekly, and the pride of the East Side, former Pacer ball boy, which I think it's important to reference that on a night like tonight. He joins us here in the 8 o'clock hour. Jack Doyle, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Your favorite memory as a ball boy?
Ooh, there's some good ones. I remember getting, I wore like a raggedy pair of shoes one day as a ball boy, and Jameson Brewer gave me a new pair of shoes, a new pair of basketball shoes.
Shout out Jameson Brewer. Wow.
Jameson Brewer. They, on the side of them in Sharpie, it said A-Town. And I remember rocking the shoes all around town. But yeah, there's a ton of great memories. I remember working Reggie's last regular season game. That was obviously really cool. So yeah, really cool for a kid who was obviously a huge Pacer fan.
So Jack, I like to ask football players this all the time. When did you know, okay, the basketball court ain't my thing? I probably should go to the gridiron.
Yeah, I don't know. Basketball was definitely my first love. And then going into high school, kind of got sucked into the cathedral football world and just kind of stuck with football. There was never really a exact point where, I thought, football, that was going to be my future, my true future, till probably more like college. But yeah, my advice to kids now is, just play as many sports, you can for as long as you can, right? Because, it goes fast and enjoy it while you're in it.
Is there any more debate in an NFL locker room than who is the best basketball player?
It's talked about constantly. And then they always go after, like, there's always, obviously the Colts, and we have Mo Alley Cox, and he's the former basketball player. So everyone's always going right at him, right? So, they're always challenging Mo and being like, hey, I could take you, and now there's basketball hoops up. I think they got one in the indoor and probably one in the team meeting room. But yeah, basketball is debated constantly in the locker room.
That is the voice of Jack Doyle. He's with us here on the Payless
Trying to picture Jack Doyle guarding
hotline.
Wemby.
I think Jack Doyle could give the Pacers some minutes tonight. That's just me. I mean, center position right now, it's a bit dire. So, we could use him maybe to pick up some fouls, if nothing else, on Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein. Jack, I asked this to Shane Steichen yesterday. Like, offensively, to me, it's historic, it's surgical, it's clinical. Like, to Shane, I said, okay, of all the numbers, of all the things you've witnessed offensively, what is the most impressive element? And I'll ask that to you. Of everything you have observed offensively, when you watch that side of the ball right now, the most impressive element to it is what?
The efficiency on first and second down. It just doesn't feel like we're in a third and long really ever. And when we have been, we've converted. So I've just been so impressed with the lack of negative plays. And, maybe penalties were up a little bit early in the season. And that kind of, that's kind of just getting back into the swing of the season, I feel like, too. The refs included in that. But yeah, just the efficiency of this offense. And Kevin, guys are running wide open. It's just crazy to see. And I think Shane's just, I kind of mentioned it, you said, we're doing the podcast with Matt Taylor. I just feel like Shane's on fire as a play caller right now. It seems like he knows what the defense is doing, before the play even starts, and him and Daniel are so connected, and the way they're trying to attack a defense. It's just, just as a fan, it's so fun to watch this offense right now.
Yeah, I personally think that Shane and Daniel are like AI components, and they just work well together. I don't think they're real people. I think they're kind of just like robots. They go plug in and then download the new plays for the next week and then go out there and execute. That's why it looks like this so far. But, Jack, on a more serious note, How much do you think the arrival of Tyler Warren has changed the math when it comes to this offense? Because as you've seen probably and understand more than anybody else, the way they move him around is very unique, and it seems like other teams can't quite contain him because of the versatility.
Yeah, the versatility is huge, and that's a play caller's dream, is to have a tight end that can do everything. And then you combine that with Shane and the mind he has and the way he sets up an offense and always attacking and moving guys in different spots. And, in the NFL, everyone runs the same concepts, right? Everyone gets to the same spots and runs the same plays, but it's how you put them in formation and the pre-snap motions and hiding guys and the way you attack can look different, but, it's all guys getting in the same spot. So when you have a guy like Tyler Warren who can just literally do everything, you put him in the backfield and doing ISO blocks, and then he's in the backfield at fullback, and you're sneaking him out on over routes and corner routes. I mean, like I said, that's a play caller's dream. So I know Shane's just loving, having Tyler on this team.
He is Mr. Doyle to those at St. Pius a couple days a week as a PE teacher. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. That would be Jack Doyle. And again, the Jack Doyle podcast with Matt Taylor has been a great listen here in the 2025 season. Jack, I apologize. I do think it's maybe a hair unfair when you're not necessarily in the building. But, again, your observations I definitely hold in high regard. When you look at 2019, you guys got off to a really good start that season from a record standpoint. I want to say it was 5-2, and now you look at this year at 6-1. Again, I know you're not in the 6-1 locker room, but just outsider's view, how do you kind of view what you guys were doing in 2019, albeit surviving some of those games, one-score wins, versus what you've witnessed here in this 6-1 start?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is, in 19, I don't know the scores of those early games, but it felt like they were all tight one-score games. And the way that the Colts are just dominating right now, I just heard you say the point differential, what was it, 96 or something like that? Yeah. I mean, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. And there's been no letdown, from week to week. You think of the Titans game earlier in the year, we came out rolling right away after a great win against Denver. So just not seeing the letdown, and a lot of guys, are still around from that 19 team or around from, teams that kind of, maybe we didn't carry the momentum from game to game, and you kind of didn't know what we were going to get. So I think the veteran leadership's been huge early in this season and keeping guys focused and locked in, and taking it week by week.
So, Jack, your last year in the NFL was the same year that Jonathan Taylor won the rushing title, named a first-team All-Pro. From that player to the player you're seeing now, the difference is what?
Yeah, I mean, he was rolling at the end of 21. So I would honestly compare to what he's doing right now early in this season to kind of what he was at the end of 21. I think the main difference is we probably have a better passing game to go with that, saying right now this season in the way we're attacking teams, because we're relying heavy on Jonathan there at the end of 21. But, what I've seen from Jonathan and the way he, the details that he's practicing and putting in each and every day, I can think back to, when we played together, he was always off to the side, catching extra passes, right? And always working on his hands. And then you see the improvement he's had as, picking up blitzes this year. I've noticed that early on. And so, yeah, he just continues to get better, which is crazy because how good he was when he first showed up. And he's just a high character guy and a great person. So it's a lot of fun to see him rolling.
That's what's so crazy to me is I'm looking at him. I'm like, man, how did you get better? Seemingly, now granted, like you said, the offense is better, but you were already a first-team All-Pro. That's nuts to me. But then on top of that, I have to give some credit, and I know you would love this, to the offensive line. I feel like, they've been understated, which is probably a good thing. We don't mention the offensive line. They're probably not messing up.
Hey, tossing those tight ends blocking.
Yeah.
Toss those tight ends
same as well. They've been playing well. But for a guy who played alongside Quentin Nelson, when you see him do his thing, I guess, as a teammate and then also on, television now, what is that like to be in the same realm or locker room as a guy who is that unique at that position?
Yeah, he's special, man. I'm thinking of the block he had on like the 20-yard run Jonathan had this past week against the Chargers, and he, reached the shade, a shade on the center, and cut him off, and Jonathan goes right behind him and goes untouched for 20 or whatever for a touchdown. And Quentin's just such a great leader too. I mean, we can talk about how he plays the guard position. He's a future Hall of Famer and all-time great and all that fun stuff. But the way he holds guys accountable, you don't want to let Quentin down. I remember back when we were playing together, I always got great joy out of like a Monday morning. We'd be in there and Quentin come up to me and be like, "Hey, on this play, Jack, that was an awesome block." And it made me feel good. He's highlighting, when I did a good job in the run game or something like that. So he's just a great leader. Obviously a great player, man, and he just another great thing about Quentin, he's always the first guy to go help up Jonathan too. I always used to try and race him to the running back and try and beat him there and be the first guy to help up the back or the receiver, whoever just got tackled. But he's always the first guy there. It's like, man, how are you everywhere and then still blocking, a premier defensive tackle? It's just crazy what he does, play in, play out.
That's a Holy Spirit Ram right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. Jack Doyle with us here on this Thursday morning. Jack, last one for me, and I really enjoyed you sharing this story a few weeks ago, on your podcast with Matt Taylor. When the Colts were getting ready to play Arizona, it looked like Jacoby Brissett was going to be the starter. Obviously, you and Jacoby, plenty of history together, I think very close. And you told the story about Jacoby's first start as a Colt. Just to refresh everybody's memories, 2017, Scott Tolzien starts that first game. Jacoby had just gotten traded here. Doesn't go well. Colts start Brissett then that second week. And you said there was a moment in the huddle where, maybe the full playbook wasn't fully known yet by Jacoby, and he just looked at you and told you, what are you running here?
Yeah, that was awesome, man. So it was fun to think of that because, Jacoby the Cardinals are back for the first time in 8 years, right back to Lucas Oil. And the last time they were here, Jacoby was starting for the Colts in his first game. But yeah, that's one of my, early memories in that game, we played back in 2017 and Jacoby's first start. I was kind of, running a middle read. So, I had a seam bender route if it was too high. And then if it was one high, I was running a basic, which is like an in route, a 10 to 12 yard in route. And we're in the huddle and Jacoby called the play. Maybe we were like in a TV timeout or something. And I just remember him looking at me and be like, "Hey, what are you running here?" And I told him what I was running, and he was, we kind of break the huddle. I'm like, "Man, I go to the line, like I'm getting the ball. Like he has no idea what else is going on in this play. So I better be ready and I better get open." And we ended up hitting it for a first down. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I love Jacoby. I was, I kind of mentioned this on the podcast, like you said, Kevin, I was a little conflicted watching that last drive, to be honest, when the Cardinals were kind of driving, because Jacoby is one of my best friends, and I obviously want him to do well. But I was glad he played well, and the Colts got the win. But yeah, Jacoby's the man.
Yeah, it was a hell of an effort. Sounded like he played pretty well last week as well. All right, Jack Doyle, PE teacher. What are we? Are we 3 days a week at St. Pius? Is that correct right now?
Two. We're two. Monday, Friday.
Okay.
Having a lot of fun. We're on volleyball now.
Let's go.
So, CYO volleyball season for the girls just started. So they're super fired up. I'm still trying to figure out how to set these nets up.
I feel you, brother. I feel
has
you.
any advice? You gotta get them tight, and then the kids are just, they're purposely hitting the ball into the net. Just hitting as hard, and I'm just like, don't touch the net. Don't touch the net, or it's a lap.
Yeah.
So that's that's the life of a PE teacher right now. But no, I'm kind of joking. I'm having a ton of fun. They're a great group of kids. I think they're enjoying having me in class. So yeah, we got roller skating coming up next. So wish me luck. Hopefully I don't. Yeah, hopefully I don't break a wrist or anything like that. But
picturing watching like ESPN Classic back in the day, and all of a sudden
the Ocho
roller derby on, and they're just elbowing each other over the railing here. Your favorite either sport that you've taught or activity so far in the gym?
I really enjoyed handball. We did handball. So handball, if you can't envision it, it's basically, basketball with soccer. You use a kind of small ball that's bouncy and you can dribble, and it's a team sport. And you're trying to throw the ball in the net. But if you can envision a basketball court, you have to shoot from like the 3-point line, and the net's, kind of at the baseline. under the hoop. And you have a goalie and all that fun stuff. And I actually had a teacher at Western Kentucky, when I was getting my physical education degree, who played for Spain's Olympic team in handball. So I learned a lot about handball through him. So it was fun to kind of pass that down to the kids, and I think the kids enjoyed the game.
It's like water polo on land, I feel like.
Yeah. That's a good way to explain it too.
Every time I watch water polo in the Olympics, I just am reminded about how unathletic I am.
And how much I can't swim.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know how they do that.
So true. I'm just like, can I just have a beer at the side of the pool? The great Jack Doyle. It's been an awesome listen, Jack. Great work with you and Matt Taylor. Usually every Tuesday that thing posts up, and it's been a fun listen. So appreciate you doing that for all of us, and thanks for hopping on today, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Enjoy listening to you guys. You guys do a great job.
Best to you and the fam. That is the great Jack Doyle right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. You have a favorite elementary PE memory, Mark Dykton? You said steal the bacon.
Steal the bacon. When you saw that going on, that, or if you're playing dodgeball, you saw those rubber balls out on the court, you're like, yes, it's going to be a good day.
I remember, I don't know, if it wasn't necessarily a game, but remember when they had like the big, like colorful
parachute.
The parachute.
Oh. Yeah. And you throw it up in the sky.
Oh my gosh, is there a greater feeling when you walked in the gym?
And it was just like, That was the dream. I feel like kids are missing out.
You could die and go to heaven at that point.
I know.
Once you saw that.
It was great.
Shout out to Mr. Will, my PE teacher, when I was at Cherry Tree. I will never forget one day he is on the other end of the basketball court, and he is saying to all of us, like, something to the effect of, I guarantee you I can make this shot. And we're at the other end of the court. And I believe it was some sort of, hey, if I make it, you guys have to run, whatever, X amount of laps. And if I miss it, I'll run. Or, there's some sort of reprieve there, and he is again 70 feet away from the hoop, and our naive elementary kid ages, we agree to it, and what does he do? He turns around and just shoots a little 4-foot bank shot off the other hoop. We thought he was going to shoot it full court.
That's actually really good.
And I'm like, man, that's like Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones, chess versus checkers. We are opposing defenses, and he was Daniel Jones.
I'll throw Red Rover out there as well.
Red Rover was good.
Classic.
But then they're like, no breaking arms or anything like that.
That can get a little physical.
I know. I feel like people won't do that anymore. Just looking back at all the things we did when we were kids.
What was the worst one? Where you're like, oh, God. When you saw like the rope, when you had to do the rope climbing, you're like, oh, God.
Oh, presidential fitness test, man. When they made me start to stretch, it was like, just.
What was the other one we had to do?
Might as well just send me home.
The pacer test in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? The beep noise. You got to go back and across.
The Pacers do the beep test now. That's part of their conditioning.
Yes, from what I understand, TJ McConnell was the best at it, which I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think Ben Shepherd was pretty good at it, which I don't think is a surprise.
What were those things where it was like,
at all?
There's like the square with the 4 wheels on it. What the hell were those things called?
Scooters?
Oh, yeah.
Little scooters?
Was that what they were? Like seat scooters or whatever?
Yeah, those things were awesome.
I know.
Like,
how do I take these home?
I had a couple fingers that, regretted being put on the ground during those days.
You also realize how filthy that gym floor was. You went through your hand. Good Lord.
God, we could talk about this for an hour. Thad Matta in a few. Let's hit a quick morning check down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
James, injury-wise for the Colts yesterday, seemingly improved health at wideout and questions at defensive end.
Yes, you saw Josh Downs out there in a red non-contact jersey, but a good sign he's practicing and trying to get through the concussion protocol. Ashton Doolin back out there as well from a chest injury. And like you said, defensive end Samson Ebukam and Tyquan Lewis were both not practicing yesterday.
Again, the Titans are bad at football, and their 3 highest-paid players all been practiced yesterday. So not looking good here coming up Sunday. 425, 14-point favorite, the Colts here in Week 8. Tonight, it's a 7.5-point underdog. The Pacers and the Thunder inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That is a 7:30 tip for the Pacers. Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy, little nagging injuries, but it sounds like they are both good to go for the Thunder. No Jalen Williams. That's the good Jalen Williams. And Alex Caruso, who I don't need to remind Pacers fans what he did in the NBA Finals. He is dealing with a concussion, actually. Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, both questionable, so a couple injuries here for the Thunder. Again, you can not only watch this on ESPN, but also, of course, FanDuel, 20th year for Kristen Airy, and on these airwaves, year 38 for the legend that is Mark Boyle. We'll probably hit on some other stuff as the show moves along, but James, for those that missed it earlier, announced by Shams Charania, and feel free to provide any details that I'm missing here. We have a sports betting gambling probe involving an arrest of Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier. that obviously is very interesting on many, many fronts. It's probably one of the more prominent players in any professional league that I've seen involved in this so far. We await details. It sounds like later this morning a press conference will be held. Have you read or found anything else?
Well, here's what Shams is reporting, and this happened when Terry Rozier, who's currently a Miami Heat player, played for the Charlotte Hornets in a New Orleans Pelicans game back in 2023, and it says an unexpected surge of bets, including 30 wagers in 46 minutes from a professional bettor totaling over $13,000, came in betting the under on Rozier's points, rebounds, and assists that game, and he played 10 minutes and left the game with a foot injury. So, like I told you all earlier, that is a huge irregularity in sports betting because, one, Terry Rozier, good player, but not like a star player, and then why all of a sudden is everyone getting those many bets in for the under in that short amount of time?
Interesting. Some more details on this coming up later today. All right, on the other side, Thad Matta, the Butler Bulldogs took on Notre Dame over the weekend. Great attendance inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse. We'll chat about that. And one more exhibition game left here for the Bulldogs. We'll do that next. It is the Fan Morning Show right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Been quite the morning in the NBA off the court. We'll continue to update you on the latest regarding that. And Pacers Thunder coming up tonight. That is 7:30 opening night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. And talking about great nights. It was a fun night inside Hinkle Fieldhouse. Going back to Friday, a star-studded night with plenty of notable attendees inside that building for Butler and Notre Dame, the first exhibition game of the season for the Bulldogs of Indiana State coming up next week before they transition, of course, into their regular season slate. And to talk more about all of that, he is the head coach of the Bulldogs. He is Thad Matta. Coach, I thought that was an awesome atmosphere on Friday night. Exhibition game, I get it, but kudos for you and Micah Shrewsbury for getting that done.
Yeah, no, it was honestly just a tremendous night in a lot of ways. First and foremost, like you guys said, the crowd was incredible for an October 17th basketball game. And I thought for our team, that was a great way for us to learn a lot about ourselves. And as I told the team after the game, I said, hey, we can take this and we got a lot to learn from. And I thought Notre Dame played, as I told the guys, like they had 7 guys that played together. We played like we had 11 new guys on the team. And so it's been good. We've been able to really, dive into the film and say, hey, we thought we were maybe better at this. We're not as good. We did these things well. And so we've had a good, since Friday, we've had a great week.
What did you like and what did you maybe not like? I get you got a ton of new faces, obviously, but what were just kind of your overall thoughts on the floor from Friday?
Well, I like the fact that we were able to get a lot of guys a lot of minutes. And I think, that was something that we, as I told you guys going into the game, we were going to do, getting guys experience, getting new guys, just the opportunity to play in Hinkle. I thought we had some good offensive possessions. Defensively, we weren't as sharp as I wanted to be. We gave just too many open shots. And that's been a real focal point going into practice since the game, and we didn't get into our offense as quick as I wanted to, and we've got to play with more pace, that's for sure.
Coach, what did you like from Finley Bizjack in particular? Veteran guard for you and someone I would think you're relying on a lot when it comes to leadership and things of that nature.
Yeah, I thought Finn was really good. I thought that. You could tell that he was a veteran for us, and the fact he got off made shots, and I thought the thing that probably went the most unnoticed, I thought he probably played his best defense that he's played in his time here at Butler, and we need that from Finley. There's no doubt about that, but I thought he did a really, really good job.
So when you recruit a player from Trophy Club Texas, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
Do you just think he's a winner? I mean, how movie-esque is that?
No, it is incredible. I've asked him a couple of times, like, are you sure it's called Trophy? And it's more the Fort Worth area, but no, I mean, we knew we had a really good player when we got Finley, and just to see, you don't see this very often anymore. See a guy in the same uniform for 3 seasons. And I just very proud of his development, and Finn's a guy that wants to keep playing better. There's no doubt about that.
Again, that's the voice of Thad Matta. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Butler will have Indiana State on Wednesday. You can hear that on our sister station, Fuego 92.7, their final exhibition game before they get into the regular season. You begin, Coach, with Southern Indiana and IU Indy right out of the gate. I think there are some teams, that are considered power conference teams that might shy away from playing in-state opponents for whatever reason. Obviously, you try to regionalize it to some degree in the non-con, but still playing the in-state teams they might shy away from. You don't really. Why is that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just, you're trying to fill these games and get them in there, and hopefully they're both teams that you learn from. I know they're going to have contrasting styles, and I think from that perspective, what you try to get in the off season, no matter where they're from, is just different looks that you're going to play against throughout the season. So you've got reference points to go back and say, hey, we've guarded this, we've had to go against this type of defense. IU Indy, they press and that sort of thing. So that'll be, that's kind of what you look for. And then if it's in-state, so be it. But that it's more to me about trying to get contrasting styles.
I'm watching kind of the first big night of the NBA last night, Coach, and they're showing a bunch of games, and all of a sudden I come across Minnesota, and it's year 19 for your former point guard in Mike Conley Jr. Do you recall the first time you watched Mike Conley play?
I do. I think it was up at North Central High School in a back gym. And I'll never forget the first 3 times I watched Michael play, I did not know if he was right-handed or left-handed. And I remember going out to my car being like, whew, you're this big-time college basketball coach. You got to get it together because I don't know what hand he is. and obviously he was ambidextrous and he played left-handed, but he was actually right-handed. And I knew right from the get-go that kid had a chance. And he's got those genes. He's got that body. He could probably play for another 5 years if he wanted to.
So now you got me going down the rabbit hole. Can you just explain for those, I think around here they know, how good Greg Oden was and why he was the number 1 pick? Because I swear, I get it. Kevin Durant, great player, all-time great, number 2 pick that year. But I feel like there's a revisionist history whenever I talk to anybody around my age, I'm 29, who's like, oh, why did they do that? I'm like, Greg Oden was a monster.
I'm telling you, people ask me all the time, who's the best player you've ever coached? I said, it's not a fair question. Greg was an anomaly to college basketball. And, I'd never seen, he was the most dominant player I've ever coached. And just by being on the floor, you think about his 1 year we had him, he led us to the national championship game with one hand. His dominant hand was broken in a cast. And, it was just unfortunate with his injuries that he wasn't able to have the career that he was going to have, because I think he could have been one of the greatest to ever play a game of basketball.
Yeah, that is certainly true. Coming up Wednesday inside Hinkle Fieldhouse, it'll be Butler and Indiana State. Again, continued best wishes to Matthew Graves in his recovery there from heart surgery. The Sycamores will be inside of Hinkle taking on Thad Matta's Bulldogs. Coach, looking forward to more combos throughout the year. Again, it was an awesome night on Friday. Enjoyed being in there, and good luck coming up on Wednesday.
No, sounds good. Let's do it again Wednesday night, and hopefully you'll see a better basketball team.
That is Thad Matta right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. James Boyd, the NBA, always seems to be in the news, and it has been quite the Thursday morning here. We've mentioned Terry Rozier arrested in some sort of gambling probe. We await more details on that. Current Miami Heat guard. I don't think he played last night. I have to double-check that. And then the other name that has now been arrested this morning, and boy, this must have been an early wake-up call for this individual.
Hall of Fame point guard Chauncey Billups, who is the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, who just played and lost last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves out there in Oregon.
Holy bleep, man. I mean,
that is unbelievable. This is according to ESPN, Shams Charania, but yeah, arrested by the FBI never sounds like a good deal.
No, I would say arrested, period. But yeah, when you throw in the acronym of FBI, that's
Cam Jones is like in paradise right now.
Talk about getting swept under the rug there. Wow. So yeah, we'll try to share any details with you as we get them here throughout the rest of the morning. For what it's worth, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, James, you said there is a report out there that the Billups side of the gambling was not on Portland Trailblazer games. Is that correct?
Yes, this was according to an NBC report that I saw. So, of course, a lot more to come out of this. And I believe you said earlier, and according to multiple reports at this point, there will be a press conference from the FBI at 10 a.m. to kind of discuss all of these findings. And so I'd imagine between now and then, more info will trickle out. But I'm very curious all of a sudden to kind of tune in and see what goes on after our show ends.
And I need to double check all this, but I believe the rules from professional sports leagues, I thought the NBA, you were allowed to gamble on other sports. Like you can bet on the NFL, you can bet on college football, those sorts of things. Whereas the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, you can't dabble in any of it.
Is that true?
I believe
NFL players can bet on anything but NFL games.
So it's just like the NBA? Both leagues are the same?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
For some reason, I thought there was a difference between one of the two leagues.
No, you know what's crazy? And I've gone over this and I'm like 99% sure I'm right on this, NFL employees who aren't players can't bet on anything.
That's what I'm thinking of.
But NFL players, they get the exception to the rule.
That's what I'm thinking
So
of.
if you're, throw a name, Matt Taylor can't bet on anything. He works for the
Matt Taylor
Colts.
can't bet on IU, UCLA, and
Can't bet
football
on
on
anything.
Saturday.
But if you are a Colts player, if you are Daniel Jones, you can bet on college football. Which, I mean, hey, players get privileges. Who would have more insight? A current NFL player on a college football, team's over-under, or, the random guy who works for the team?
Yeah, so again, this Billups report sounds like here, yes, there is an initial report saying that it is not to do with Game C coach. Nonetheless, the details should be interesting. So welcome back, NBA. Here you go. Here's your headline here on the first morning after your biggest slate to start the season. All right, much more on all of it. Pacers Thunder opening night, and we'll do that on the other side. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd, Mark Dykton.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You know, I've always been Team Bucket Hat. And I know James Boyd supports me in that 1,000%.
Oh, you know me. Training camp. I could have used this.
These are excellent. Thank you to Eddie White, the one, the only. You'll hear him tonight, the world's greatest post-game show. He's in studio with us. It's opening night. And per usual, Chris Kringle, Eddie White, comes bearing gifts here. Eddie, these are excellent. First off, the bucket hats. And can you put these up to the camera here, what we got here?
Well, first of all, the bucket hats that you guys are wearing, where's the camera?
Yeah,
Camera's
perfect,
right here.
there.
Hello. Okay, you're showing them to the camera. You got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
They are, these are, what do you call them? Cake pops. One with the basketball theme and the other with the Pacers colored theme. And that's for you guys to eat and enjoy. And the bucket hats, for those listening, the first 5,000 people that come to the game tonight will get that bucket hat. And you guys look really good in that bucket hat.
Well, thank you.
I mean, really good. Some people, I couldn't wear. I look like the skipper from Gilligan's Island. I'm not a bucket hat guy. I'm more of a visor guy. But you guys look good in that hat.
You're more of a visor and a stogie guy.
Yes.
It sounds like you want to be in the building early for many reasons coming up tonight. You mentioned that. Want to share this. Rick Carlisle texted this morning. Moment of silence coming up tonight pregame for Nancy Leonard. And this from Rick. As most of us are aware, without her, a strong case can be made that from the perspective of professional sports, none of us would be here. He wants to spread the word to fans attending the game tonight that after the moment of silence and before the national anthem, that everyone will engage in a standing ovation to honor this special woman. Eddie, I know we had you on, I believe, the morning after Nancy's passing. Goes without saying. Rick's right. I've said this many times about Peyton Manning, but Nancy Leonard's in the same boat. Without those people, us four are probably not in the studio right now.
No, when we talked, when she passed, it was her idea to have the telethon. So a lot of times people have great ideas. James, you have great ideas for an article. If you don't have that idea, the article never gets written.
Yeah.
If she doesn't have that idea, there isn't a telethon. If the telethon is not successful, the team doesn't stay. So sometimes you got to go back and see where was the first brick that was put in the foundation. She was the first brick of this foundation. If that lady didn't have that idea and then the whole city didn't get behind and execute it, none of us are here. There's no reason to have a fan sports station in Indianapolis. There are no Pacers. There are no Fever. And I couldn't help but think, I was listening to you guys driving down, there's that line in the song by Garth Brooks, The Dance, where it says, I could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance. And the dance could either be all the Pacers games since Nancy and Bob started it, or it could be, we can go back to just this past season. Those who are 8 years old, 10 years old who got behind it, you guys who covered it, we all enjoyed it and lived it. The end was painful, but the dance is something that we'll never forget. It's why we all do what we do. There's a line that sometimes when you're having your worst day, remember, these are the jobs we wanted.
Yeah.
And, that's why you cover what you do. That's why you talk about what you do. And when you have a magical run that they put us on, which I don't think we'll ever see again, especially the individual one that Halliburton did.
For sure.
And you couple that with what the Fever did, the resiliency, you guys talked about it with just, they're to the point where they're wearing stickers, hello, my name is. And then this run that the Colts are on now. And then you add in, spread it out, Purdue's basketball run, the Indiana football run. This is a great time to either be a fan or cover the teams in Indiana. And again, all I can just tell people, and I'm old, and as you get older, and you guys will get old one day, I go to a doctor every freaking week. Enjoy the dance, whether, Kevin, it's you with your kids or it's us with sports. Enjoy the dance, regardless of how it may end. Enjoy the dance.
I think it's super well said. Kind of pains me a little bit to give you that big of a compliment, but I guess when you bring these gifts in here, I guess I have to. So again, pregame, Eddie, you've got that. We'll have the acknowledgement of the Eastern Conference champion banner. It goes out saying opening night, especially given the opponent, it's going to be an awesome night inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But again, get to your seats early. 7:30 tip, just to remind everybody. So getting those seats a little bit early, probably a good night to have a little bit of a later start.
Yeah, and doors will open at 6:30, and we'll have a little party outside in the Bicentennial Morris Plaza. And just in our building, which is the St. Vincent Center we practice, they put up pictures and stuff like that, and a lot of them are from that championship run. And, and you should celebrate that. I mean, we had an Eastern Conference championship in a long, long time, and here we go again. And it's such a long season. Remember where we were last year, 15 games
10
into
and
the
15
season?
at one point, yeah.
20 games into the season, we're all like, uh-oh, what's wrong with Halliburton? The team's not so good.
Can they make the playoffs?
Yeah. Can they make the playoffs? And then again, that dance, that run. And here we are. And it's something to just enjoy it. It's why we do what we do.
So, Eddie, what season is this for you, and does it feel like that number to you?
I believe I joined them in the middle of the season. It was January of some year. It was I joined them like the week before they let go Jim O'Brien. So O'Brien was going out, and I came in. So I think it's 15 or 16 years now with the Pacers, but, of course, they've been around here for 30-some years. But no, it feels, I talked with Boyle the other night at the thing, and this is 38 for him. And it's like when you get to tonight, and a lot of times we used to open the season on the road, and then we'd say our opening night, which now this is really opening night because it's the first game and it is at home. And because of what we accomplished last year, it's gonna be a special one. So you just get energized because you don't know what's going to happen. And you hope you have there's no way we have another run like last year, is there?
I mean, I would want to say yes. Without Halliburton, it pains me to say probably not. Yeah. But I think that makes me savor what we saw even more, just because, I mean, the guy, I was watching some of the highlights probably like a couple days ago. Halliburton had like a career montage happen in a matter of 2 months.
Yes. Well, Mark played some of these highlights
crazy.
to intro the show, and it'll be up on the podcast for those that missed it to lead off. And, like, I found myself here at 7:01 and 42 seconds in the morning getting chills listening to all of the different calls. And then I find myself, and Mark, I don't know if you're this way, when you hear the audio of it, you're like, now which one was that? Was that the Cavs one? Was that the Bucks one? Was that the Thunder one? And then you had the Michael Grady one from the T-Wolves game earlier in the season. Like, Obi Toppin, that was such a magical regular season night.
Just, there were so many highlights to go through where you're like, wait, how many? Good Lord, there was a lot of highlights.
Remember Neesmith?
Regular season and otherwise.
Against the Knicks?
We talked about the contract extension earlier this week. Yeah. For me, the Neesmith, I'll remember the tip dunk against Cleveland off the free throw. And then, yes, what he did in game one.
It's one of the greatest playoff performances ever for the Pacers.
Before you get to Halliburton hitting one to the moon. Eddie, remind us again, first 5,000 tonight, get this
first
bucket
5,000, get the bucket hats. You will look as handsome as these two characters are wearing them. And the doors open at 6:30. And you're right, so it's a half hour later than normal. Starts are at 7. Tonight is at 7:30. And then we go on the road for 3 games. And again, the game, if you can't get there in person, of course, you can see it on television. Or, of course, you can listen to it right here. The Mark Boyle, Eddie Gill, Pat Boyle will have the pregame show at 7. And, of course, after the game, the world's greatest postgame show. Now,
Marconi winning.
Now, you may be doubters. Like, how can you say that? Or how can this is how I'll leave you with this. In the history of North American professional sports, I include hockey. I include baseball.
Okay.
I include the National Football League and, of course, the NBA. In the history of those 4 sports and all their teams, never has a post-game show had, after a game, a head coach of one of those 4 teams call into the show and a head coach of one of the other 4 teams call into that show. It happened here on a night when Frank Vogel and Chuck Pagano both called in to Pacers overtime. And last year we had now one of our famous callers. We don't take a lot of callers, but Caitlin from downtown
yes,
called
I remember
in.
hearing her. Yes.
So hence,
Steven from Carmel maybe called in as well.
Steve from the North Side.
Yeah, Steve from the North Side.
Yep. So
right.
I think it's very worthy of the tag "World's Greatest Postgame Show."
He is the quarterback of it all. He is the one, the only Eduardo Blanco. Eddie White with us here in studio. Eddie, thank you, sir.
Go Pacers, go Irish.
Amen.
How about our running backs? Are we rolling now?
Jeremiah Love right here.
Hey, let's get the rematch.
Give me a little Heisman
Notre
post.
Dame at Indiana in the playoffs.
My heart can't take that. Stop
I
that.
want it.
Stop
I
that.
want
I
it.
agreed with everything you said until that. We'll talk a ton more about Pacers Thunder on the other side.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
11 seconds left to play. Driving off a Bryant screen to the wing, to the baseline, to the goal, across the lane, into the corner. An impossible three is drained by Toppin. Halliburton with 6 to shoot. Dances against Antetokounmpo. Gives to Turner. 3 to shoot. Step back 3, left edge. Dagger! Dagger! Turner hits his 4th 3 of the game. McConnell again dropped it for Turner, and he came soaring down the middle of the lane and dunked it. T.J. McConnell is taking over this game. The Pacers take it to the other end. Turner runs right into Antetokounmpo, and the bench rises to its feet as he threw it down. Here comes Halliburton. Hits the timeline with 7. Outside the arc with 5. Driving in the lane at the goal. He lays it in with 1 3/10 seconds to go. Milwaukee has no timeouts. They have to go the length. Ball is going to be played in by Antetokounmpo. He gets it to Trent, and this one is over. It's rebounded by Halliburton. 4 seconds to go. Halliburton for 3. 3 ball up top. Indiana by 1. 1 and 1/10 seconds to go. Inbound. Merrill didn't get it off, and this rivals the Milwaukee finish.
Carlisle's going to let him play. Halliburton steps back and hits. Tyrese Halliburton trying to take Cleveland's heart. It is over. The Indiana Pacers in a Game 2 stunner.
It's 72-37. Do not adjust your dial. Neesmith attacking. He got to the baseline. Turner with it. 3 to shoot. 2 to shoot. Oh, my goodness. What is happening here? My, oh, my. A 3 from the left side. It's 75-37. Into the forecourt, Neesmith. Turner is feeling it, and why not? Why not? Why not? A 3 from 2 miles away, out on the left side. This cannot possibly be happening.
It is absolutely insane what's going on in this building right now.
A 41-point lead. Pacers have 4 seconds to score one more time. Here comes Neesmith. He'll get it off from the wing, and of course he hit it. Of course he hit it as the bench empties.
Don't stop believing.
A run that we will never forget. Mark Dykton, tremendous, per usual, in a opening morning montage. I texted Mark at about 6:40 this morning. I go, dude, I'm sorry for asking for you this late, but any chance we could get some openers? Mark responds, I'm already on it. This guy.
I feel like that's
locked and loaded.
This guy.
I had them made months ago, actually. I had them ready to go because I was
going
like,
to say,
I'm going to play these in the fall.
Just a re-rack from May and June, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
So many games there. When Boyle is saying, Turner shooting it from Kokomo and all that. I mean, it brings back
from 2 miles away.
Game 4 of the Cleveland series when they put up, was it 83 in the first half? I'm trying to think what the number was. Just incredible. All of it. So we'll get you set again for tonight. 7:30, reminder, is the tip time, but we need people off that concourse in the seats well before that, because you're going to get the unveiling of the Eastern Conference banner. And Rick Carlisle just shared with us this morning, they will have a moment of silence for Nancy Leonard and a highly, highly encouraged standing ovation for the legend that is Nancy following that. So, again, butts in the seats. I know we like to mingle and we like to do the whole concourse thing for quite a while. You're going to want to be in the building early tonight. 7:30 tip, but get in there early for both of those. James, before we get to Scott Agnes, quite the transition from a celebration of opening night in, I guess, our market here from a Pacers standpoint, but the NBA news cycle has been quite juicy here this morning. Could you fill us in on where are we at from a FBI standpoint? And yes, those letters are applicable here.
Yes, so this is the latest from ABC, which you all know that ESPN is an affiliate of ABC. So ABC News has reported that Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups has been charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. Law enforcement sources have told ABC News.
Say that again. Mafia?
Chauncey Billups has been charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the capital M Mafia.
Unbelievable.
What year is it?
This
what, did we go in
And
a
then
time
it says
warp?
This
later
is a
on.
movie. Does the Mafia exist in Portland?
That's what I said. I was so confused. And then it says Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier was arrested in a separate but related betting case, which is confusing to me because is it separate? Is it related? I don't know. I'm not a part of the Mafia. I don't have any idea what's going on. But yes, I had to Google like the Mafia, and I feel like that's something I see in like a Netflix series or something, like a documentary or a drama, not an actual real life 2025 storyline.
Yeah, I feel like I'm reading The Onion. And just to update everyone, I guess.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Rozier and Billups.
What a great pull, Mark.
Rozier in the league for over a decade, made $160 million. Chauncey Billups' career over $100 million. Year 5 for him as Trailblazers
Yes,
head
in
coach?
his 5th season.
Just to kind of, check all the boxes there. Boy, let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline right now. Nothing says good morning to Scott Agnes like that. Scott, welcome to the NBA beat.
Every day is unpredictable. You got it.
I mean, unbelievable. I know you're probably just getting this news just like we are, and details, unfortunately, are still a little bit vague, but just your overall thoughts on these headlines.
Yeah, what are we doing? Like, come on, guys. Like, you've made millions in a great league like the NBA, and we don't know too much more well beyond that. But when you accept money from gambling, you also accept the consequences, and in these cases, that might be that way. And I mean, Adam Silver, one of the main questions he's asked about during all interviews is gambling, the impact, the concerns, and every day, I'm sure it's something they have to talk about at the headquarters in New York City.
Scott, I need you to, put out a statement on behalf of all beat writers when it comes to covering NBA teams and say, hey, I don't actually want to go cover the Mafia as well. So let's just make sure that all the Pacers are on the up and up there.
Breaking news from 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Damon Jones of the NBA has also been arrested with the FBI in connection with charges announced today. No indication he's tied to bet on games, but according to 2 people familiar with the matter, he has also been arrested.
Wait, like Damon Jones, like the old school basketball player?
Damon Jones, former NBA player.
Yeah, coach. I think he coached the Cavaliers for a little while there.
I'm picturing shooter Damon Jones, right?
That's him.
A good shooter. Okay. Gosh, unbelievable. Well, at this point now, I guess we just sit here and hope that nobody associated with the Pacers are involved with this.
I don't want Scott to work like that.
Or
It's
else
opening
the
night.
news cycle
Cover the game.
really changes.
Yeah, can we talk about we got to celebrate the basketball.
Yeah,
exactly
sure.
Right. I agree, James.
Scott, I feel like at this point every NBA team has played besides the Pacers tonight, 7:30 inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Point guard center, which one you more curious about tonight?
I'm more so center, just because this could be something that they are concerned in dealing with all season long. Whereas point guard, I think it's kind of just, can you get to the next month? And in the meantime, you can have fill-ins and guys can play out of position. But KB, look, center, you got guys that have never been full-time starting centers here in the NBA, 2 guys coming off significant injuries, and nobody really played confidently or solidified themselves or did a well enough job of staying out of foul trouble in the 4 preseason games that we were able to see. And you look around, and what was the biggest takeaway, at least for me, opening night, was size, physicality, aggression that was both played by the players and allowed by the officiating. And if that's the case, that's something where the Pacers obviously will have to adapt.
Can you survive, I don't want to say 82 nights, but can you survive a majority of your nights with Obi Toppin as the 5-man?
That's probably the question they're having to discuss in the coaching room throughout this week. I think that would work in spurts. I just don't know if it can be there full time, just given the different matchups and the size discrepancy right there against Houston, or perhaps even against an OKC like we'll see tonight with some of the size that they have. Now, I'm a big proponent of playing your best group, playing the bunch that you are most confident in rather than adapting to your opponent all the time. right, depending on the opponent. But I think that might be the case for this Pacers team this season is roll a different center out depending on who's out there and leaning into it. But is it sustainable all season long? I'm just not seeing it.
So, Scott, when I look at this roster, obviously we know who the core four is, and one of those core four, Benedict Matherin, is, I think, in a more unique situation than the other three just because of this contract situation. So what, in your mind, would define a successful Benedict Matherin season, and can that be paired with a successful Pacers season?
Yeah, that's been the whole thing all along, right? Does his skill set and him at his best match and empower the Pacers to be at their best? I think what a very successful season for him would be to be one of the top, would be to finish the season in the starting lineup, which means it worked out. It would probably be a top 3 scorer on the roster and have all of us being like, man, he really locked in defensively, took ownership at that end of the floor, took pride on that end of the floor, and he has us wanting to see more out there. And so he's still very young. He's being asked to do very different things that he has in the past. It's just, can he do it within the flow of the offense? And as much as they want to play fast and use that as their weapon against all these teams, you don't want the ball to get stuck. You want to make that half-second decision like so many of the coaching staff has talked about.
And Scott, do you think that's a bit counterintuitive to a degree because you don't have Halliburton? Because part of me, I'm not going to lie, if this offense gets a little stagnant, I want to be able to hit the Matherin will get a bucket button. And I think that could come in handy this season considering that you're not going to be operating at your highest offensive output.
Totally agree there. Yeah, absolutely. There will be times, especially, as you know, the grind of the NBA season, the third game in 4 nights, and all right, so who's got the energy? Oh, it's Matherin. All right, let's just keep feeding him. Like we saw in that one preseason game where he has, 21 points in the first half? Like, you don't want to nix his superpower, but you also would like to maximize it within the flow of the offense, for sure. So I think, to your point, I think there can be good balance there. As you can encourage this one thing, but look, if the matchup is good or the way in which the opponent's defending them, hey, let's lean into that. I think that's one thing about this coaching staff as well is the adaptability and how they don't get pigeonholed into any one thing and they're not calling a lot of plays. I think along the same lines as they might have to call more plays, may have to call situations to get them more organized in the flow of things when you don't have your franchise point guard able to do that for you.
Is it too early to make a joke about this Chauncey Billups gambling thing?
Leave Scott out of it.
Well, yeah, I know. I probably should have waited till Scott was off the line. I'm simply relaying a message here. This from Wes on our text line. I think we're all familiar with, Detroit Pistons PA announcers, Detroit basketball. Yeah, I feel like I have that ingrained in my head from those Pistons teams. Didn't they often say Chauncey Billups? Wasn't that also kind of a go-to phrase? How about a Chauncey busted?
Oh, wow. Lord.
Nothing?
Boo.
No?
Not feeling that one, brother.
I think it's well played. It's just the sensitivity of the moment.
Oh, come on. Yeah, it's the Pistons, man. I thought that would give Mark Dykton to crack a smile. Jeez.
Well, Chauncey Billups has bigger issues right now. If he's got the mafia on his tail, I think he's ducking and covering
throw a
right
tomato
now.
at
Yeah,
you,
I know. Do you answer the door for the FBI or the mafia? I'd probably vote for the latter, honestly.
What does the mafia look like in 2025, by the way?
You don't know.
I love how James clarified earlier he's not a part of the mafia.
And my Stromboli on DoorDash is running late.
I was just trying to make sure, we get everything, on the up and up.
James got his Pacers bucket hat on, repping
I'm just making sure, hey, anything I've done, if I downloaded music from LimeWire a few years ago, yeah. I apologize.
How many YouTube to MP3 converters have I done in my day? Scott, we'll end with this, and Mark's been playing these montages, kind of all morning long from last year's run. If I remove Halliburton from it, one memory for you from last year's run would be what? You can't pick Halliburton, good or bad.
Yeah, to me, I come back to the city, KB. It's my hometown. It's the way in which this city rallied around this team, how much joy it gave, how many times on walks around downtown, Kevin, I was walking and seeing just Pacer flags hung up. Like, that took me back to childhood, where this was not just a, happy to be here. This was not just, hey, is it May yet? It's time for the Indianapolis 500. So for me, it was the way in which this team represented themselves on the court, and then as much so how much the fans rallied behind that message and became believers in a group that without the belief in themselves would not have gotten as far as they did.
Yeah, I think that's really, really well said. I remember saying it after watching Game 7 unfold. It kind of had a college, high school feel to it, and how connected I think so many fans felt towards the Pacers. They'll get it started again tonight. Again, 7:30 tip. You want to be in your seats. They'll honor Nancy Leonard. Also have the unveiling of the Eastern Conference Championship banner. You want to make sure you're in your seats for that well before 7:30. Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. His coverage is there. Scott, a lot to get to this morning. Appreciate you being a good sport.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. See you guys.
Happy New Year indeed. Boy, Happy New Year to some others around the NBA. All right, before we get to a morning checkdown, let's just go over everything because this is obviously the news of the morning. What would you guys say? Around 8:30, the first report came from Shams Charania of Terry Rozier arrested for gambling.
Actually, shout out to Pablo Torre. Based off the timestamps, he scooped him first. Pablo Torre, when he's on it, he's like a dog on a bone.
He's our lead investigator
I know.
of some of these big sports stories right now. And on the Rozier front, do we have any details yet on that? I apologize. I've been mostly a headline reader.
No, not really. But I think what's been under investigation is, like I said, that game that he played when he's a member of the Hornets a couple years ago, where suddenly within about a 45-minute time period, you had a bunch of bets coming in, betting the under, and then he left that game with a foot injury and did not play for the remainder of the year. So obviously very irregular to have that many people suddenly want to bet on a guy who isn't a star player, and to that point had averaged, I think, 21 points a game, and then you're suddenly betting the unders on everything, and then he leaves the game, I think, after a few minutes of playing.
And this sounds separate from then Chauncey Billups, which Billups headline, and again, just to cover all of our bases here, Rozier's been in the league for a decade, $160 million he's made, blah, 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 currently a reserve with the Miami Heat. Chauncey Billups has been head coach for the Trailblazers here for the last 4 seasons. They haven't been good, but it sounds like this one has nothing to do with basketball by all accounts. And literally the headline that I saw was a poker operation tied to the mafia.
Right. And so the phrasing that ABC used was that it was separate but related to the Terry Rozier case as well. So we'll see how that all intertwines here when the FBI gives a press conference in about 40 minutes, I believe, out in New York. And then on top of that, Damon Jones, former Cavs player, Cavs coach as well, assistant coach, I believe. I don't know if he's coaching right now, but he has been swept up in this as well. So that is not ideal.
Boy,
not ideal.
Yeah, thank you.
That's putting it lightly, I would say.
I can't say what I really want to say on the airwaves. I want to say bleep, bleep, bleep. What are you guys thinking?
Boy, the mafia thing is crazy.
mean, gosh, boy, I'm not going to lie. When I saw the Chauncey Billups gambling side, I kept on thinking, shout out to Kyle Klein's house when I won a poker tournament. I won $300 at a poker tournament in 7th grade there. I remember how hard.
The richest man in middle school.
I remember how hard I worked for the $20 buy-in. Like, I think I mowed lawns and, watched neighbors' dogs, and I was like, oh, my gosh.
And you had to do all that for $20?
Well,
back in the day, you weren't making no money. You was broke.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just was so happy that I had $20.
I love inflation.
And then as soon as it went away, I'm like, now I'm sweating here, but then I won the tournament, so hopefully the FBI won't be knocking on this door. All right, quite the news cycle here. We'll keep it a little more localized on this morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So, James, tonight inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, injury report-wise, the Thunder, no Jalen Williams, that's the good one. Alex Caruso in concussion protocol. Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, both questionable. So, could be looking at some different Thunder faces tonight here against the Pacers. Obviously, I don't think I need to say Tyrese Halliburton's name 82 nights out of the year. We know he is out. We know T.J. McConnell is out. But Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy, both dealing with some injuries. They look to be good to go. We did the minutes debate earlier in the show. Who do you think gets a backup point guard run tonight for the Pacers?
Dare I say, Taylor Peter.
And I think there's a section of our audience that has never heard of Taylor Peter. So for those
Second
that have,
round pick from Liberty. He's a shooter. Can certainly fill it up. Very efficient player in college. But, I mean, you look at the guards that they have, or rather not have at their disposal. he's someone I think could possibly get into that rotation early in the season.
And not a point guard, to be clear here. This is them asking him to
here's the keys to the offense.
Right.
Don't turn the ball over.
We'll see about Ray J. Dennis, and, Quentin Jackson, unfortunately, is out with a hamstring injury. So the Pacers scrambling a bit here on opening night, 7.5-point underdog with the Thunder. All right, over there at West 56th Street yesterday, it was practice number 1 for the Colts, and I would say a decent bill of health. Josh Downs, still in a non-contact jersey, but he did get back to practice with the concussion protocol. Same with Ashton Doolin with a chest injury, but James, defensive end, they probably will have to turn to the second-round pick out of Ohio State for some important snaps on Sunday.
Yes, JT Tuimoloau, I would expect to possibly get a bigger role this week, considering that Samson Ebukam is week to week with a knee injury, and Tyquan Lewis is day-to-day with a groin injury. So, hey, the guy's been, unable to get consistent role on the field this year. So, kind of by default, will he get there on Sunday?
And again, first versus worst coming up on Sunday. The Colts are an NFL best plus 96 in point differential through 7 games. The Titans are an NFL worst minus 92 in point differential. So why is this a 2-touchdown spread? There you go on that. And what a perfect time to have Jason Hammer join us here in 5 minutes, as we will do legal gambling here.
It's been such a slow news day.
Yeah. I'm sure he will have opinions about this.
I know he's got a Pacer bet that I think I'm going to tail
He'll
him on.
He'll have more
here.
to say than me saying it's not ideal. Mark, how about that?
You should ask him how many Mafia guys he knows. He probably won't tell us. But
the favorite thing each of you saw last night in the NBA, because opening night there were a lot of impressive individual performances. James, I'll go to you first.
Victor Wembanyama. He is unbelievable. Shout out to Wemby. That's why I wanted to have the Indy to Wemby shirts, or Wemby to Indy shirts, made years ago, because I knew this kid was going to be special. Not saying anything that's groundbreaking, but watching him last night was like watching someone play against like your nephew or something. It was unbelievable. He made Anthony Davis, who's a future Hall of Famer, Froze Barrel Hall of Famer, look like a traffic cone.
40 and 15 in 30 minutes for Wemby.
Step back threes, dunks, blocks, you name it.
Mark?
I mean, Wembanyama was outstanding yesterday. I was also surprised Cooper Flagg debuted not so great.
Yeah, 4 of 13 for him in that same game. He did have 10 and 10, but yeah, 4 of 13 for Flagg.
You know what? Someone should investigate Jason Kidd. All right, because
Well,
Cooper Flagg is not a point guard.
The way the morning is going, who knows?
I was gonna say.
We just saw that we just lost the poster behind you.
Did we?
I hope
Gosh,
it's not over for the Pacers season.
Stinks.
I thought I taped that up pretty well.
Nope, I see James's ones are coming undone too.
Man, this better not be an omen, man. Did you just jinx our season?
Tape on the wall with this material, probably not my best bet there. A couple others. Anthony Edwards, 41, a dagger last night. Rookie VJ Edgecombe had 34 for the 76ers. He's out of Baylor. Miles Turner, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, 4 of 12 shooting for Miles in his debut as the Bucks got it done. A couple other items. College football this weekend. Again, a couple noon kickoffs. It'll be big noon. The Fox Crew down there in Bloomington, Indiana. Very similar favorite as last week, about 25 points against UCLA. And Purdue, a home underdog against Big Ten winless Rutgers. Somebody gets their first Big Ten win this season, either Rutgers or Purdue. We'll see who Purdue's starting quarterback will be after Ryan Brown got hurt last week. Much more on the gambling investigation around the NBA. Sounds like a couple different instances of this. And Jason Hammer sets us up for Thursday night and a couple other picks that he likes here on the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, it's been a hell of a Thursday morning. I must say, Mark Dykton, excellent per usual.
Queued up the Goodfellas soundtrack. Thought that was appropriate on this Thursday morning.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
very, very good. As we have a gambling probe involving a couple of NBA individuals, and Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups separate. The Billups one, and I say this in all seriousness about the headline, involves a poker. A poker game, or probably plural games, with the mafia.
Right. Now, listen, don't be surprised, and again, we don't know anything yet. Presser's at 10. Don't be surprised if that's Russian mafia, because those dudes have been running poker and gambling rings around this country for years. Most high-profile example, if you remember that movie from about 20 years ago with Matt Damon, Rounders.
Oh, iconic movie.
Teddy KGB running the poker ring, right? Paid that man his money. Like, I don't know. Maybe it is Americanized, standard Italian mafia. Could be. We don't know yet. But don't be shocked if it's Russian mafia. But I will say this. If Scott Foster is a part of this, my parlay hits.
Oh, Lord.
I'm one Scott Foster away from cashing that 4-leg parlay.
Oh, that's excellent.
You just spoke for probably all of NBA gambling Twitter right
Someone
there.
texted us earlier in the show because Mark's been playing these by the way, the voice of Jason Hammer, I think everyone knows, joins us every Thursday at 9:30 here in football season, and we do have some cheersing to do after some wins last week. But Mark has had these great montages for the Pacers as they get their season started tonight. And, I mean, we're talking awesome highlights. And the first response we got on the text line early this morning was, Scott Foster cost us a championship. Like,
the fixer.
Here we are 4 months removed. These great highlights of Halliburton and Neesmith and Toppin and this and that. And the first one is, Scott Foster cost us a championship.
Is that the game 4 push-off from SGA?
I believe the baseline push-off there from
they don't give the nickname the fixer to guys that are calling a fair game, right?
No.
Even at Home Improvement, nobody called Tim Allen the fixer, and his job was to fix things. So I'm just saying, I'm one Scott Foster away from cashing that 4-leg FBI parlay today. Let's go.
We have a ton to get to with you, Hammer, and you are ready to go here before we get to your bets that we like, and legal betting, by the way, here. First
the
off,
Chauncey Billups Lock of the Night coming up next. Brought to you by
Terry Rozier and
brought to you by Svedka Vodka.
Again, tonight, 7:30, Pacers Thunder. Getting your seats early. Not only that Eastern Conference banner will be unveiled, but they will honor the great life of Nancy Leonard, and so you'll want to be in your butts in the seats for that, and then get your butts up because the standing ovation certainly for her. All right, Hammer, we got some cheers in to do because last week you told us Joe Flacco's the old man of the bachelor party. That hit easily. The over hit easily.
We went 2 out of 3 last weak. That's a winning weekend, everybody. Cheers.
Mark Dykton, a cheers here.
Have a little shot here.
Is this a Woodford action?
I got some water for you.
Double oak Woodford here.
Smooth.
Excellent. Oh, boy, that is beautiful there. That and a cake pop. What more do you need here on a Thursday morning to get the juices
It's not
flowing?
even 9:37 yet.
Okay, so I know you like a little Pacers action. You also like a Colts long shot, but let's stick with what's got us here. Thursday night football tonight. I actually like this matchup. Chargers, Vikings. Obviously, long travel here from Minnesota. Carson Wentz still there. I believe a 3-point underdog as they hit the road.
So, tail of the tape here. Both teams had some pretty bad efforts last week, but one team's at home. One team has a better quarterback, and it's a field goal or less. I'm trying not to overthink this too much, but I'm on the Chargers tonight, and we're going to lay the 3.
Okay. Joe Alt back, by the way. It sounds like the Chargers stud tackle.
Which is going to be huge, and I just feel like the Chargers are in a spot here. I trust Jim Harbaugh to get this group back with Justin Herbert more so than I do a Minnesota squad going on the road riding the Carson Wentz experience. Leaning toward the under, but the official play in this one is we're going to lay the 3. We're taking the Chargers at home. If I'm going to play it, I'm going to lay it. Now, prop bet wise, we're going to go with Justin Herbert over 0.5 interceptions. I think you can throw the ball on Minnesota. I think you can throw it on them. And I know Joe Alt's back, and maybe they want to try to run the ball a little bit, but I still see pressure
getting to Justin Herbert. And we saw last week as Colts fans, you put a body in his face, he's prone to throw it to the other team. So we're going to ride the Lightning over 0.5 interceptions with Justin Herbert. And then tonight, Keenan Allen over 5.5 receptions, and you get plus money.
I like this.
That's a plus money bet over 5.5 receptions. Feels like a little connection may have been started last week, and maybe that's the safety valve for Justin Herbert tonight.
Okay, yeah, I feel like we saw a ton of those signs, at least when I was out in L.A. for the Chargers game against the Colts with the third and Keenan signs. So third down, looking for Keenan Allen.
Right.
Yeah, and so basically we need Herbert to throw it. Yes. I think tonight we want him to throw it successfully towards Keenan Allen, but then have one hiccup here. Okay. You, and I mentioned this earlier in the show, you said a little boost got you those Pacers odds to get into the bracket. Go ahead and cover that, because I know you and I had that conversation earlier.
So on Bet Rivers, one of the sites that I play on, I had a profit boost. So not everybody will have the same boost, but I had Pacers to make a playoff series, okay? So they could, in theory, be the 10th team in the play-in bracket, but you would have to win your way into an actual series.
I mean, top 6.
No. Go ahead.
It could be top 6, but if they get in that play-in tournament as a 9 or a 10.
Exactly. I see what you're saying.
As long as they end up 1 through 8.
Right.
You would have to win your way through to get to a series.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
At the time I made my bet, it was plus 200. I think it's down to 150 now, but I had the profit boost, which put it over 3.
I like that, though. I mean, looking at how wide open the East is and knowing how hard the Pacers play, I mean, if you can figure it out at center just a little bit, you might be able to sink into the playoffs with like a record that's under 500, honestly.
And I just don't see them waving the white flag as quickly as other teams will. So, yeah, this is very simple. I just plugged in right now, plus 152. Pacers to make the bracket, 1 through 8. $10 bet gets you $15.20.
Vegas odds makers are saying the Pacers will not make the playoffs because it's plus money for them to make it. But if you have a boost of any kind, you can throw it on that one. And if they get through the play-in round or 1 through 6, your toes are tapping here.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see them getting in at like 40 and 42 or 44 or something like that.
Right.
Again, Jason Hammer with us here. Hammer Nigel, you hear him every afternoon over on our sister station, WIBC, Degenerates Next Door, a couple gambling podcasts he's got each week here. Is there anything more Pacers you like, or should we transition to this Colts long shot?
Let's do a Pacers bet tonight.
Okay.
First made three-pointer by a Pacer tonight. First made three-pointer. You can get Benedict Matherin at plus 295. I want contract year Benedict Matherin. I got a feeling if the ball's in his hands, it's going up, and all I want is an opportunity here.
Yeah. His neon green light looks like a highlighter party in college.
Right.
So, yes.
And this is just for the Pacers' first made three-pointer. Neesmith is the favorite, and then it's Matherin, Siakam, Nembhard, and Jackson. But there's not a lot of difference between those folks. I think Matherin at plus 295 feels right.
I can get behind that. Again, he's never seen a shot that he doesn't like there on that. Okay, and then where are we at from a Colts, and plus 295 is pretty good juice on that. Where are we at from a Colts long shot? Because are you a philosophical never touch a 14-point spread? Do you have any belief in that, like a 2-touchdown spread either way in the NFL? Because it's rare to see this.
Usually if I find a home divisional dog in the NFL, I'll hitch my wagon. But here you've got a very heavy home divisional favorite. 14 feels like a lot. Don't know if I want to touch that one.
Okay.
Because that just reeks of a backdoor cover. I can see the Colts being up by 21 in the fourth quarter, and then it becomes Riley time, or something happens and you get that garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, Cam Ward tries to be a hero.
Right, that beats you. But if you want to get nuts, okay, we're playing with some profits this week because we had a good week last week. If you want to get nuts, Jonathan Taylor, 3 touchdowns at plus 800. Now, the Titans can't stop the run. I think they're second to last in the league in defending the run right now. And 3 games this year, and it's not like the Colts have played, a full season. 3 times already this year, Jonathan Taylor's had 3 touchdowns in a game. The odds are against you. It's certainly not a lock, but I think plus 800 for Jonathan Taylor, 3 touchdowns, I think it's worth taking a look at, boys.
You know what? I actually kind of agree with that because I think I threw this stat out there the other week. He's got 5 games in his career with 3 or more rushing touchdowns. and 3 of them have happened this year.
Right.
First 5 seasons, it was 2. This year, 3.
And that juice on that, again, just for our people out there that are not, maybe as in tune to the plus and the minuses, that would be $10 to win 80. So
Right.
that is a very healthy return on investment there if Jonathan Taylor gets in the end zone 3 times.
Looking at the Titans here, they've allowed 802 rushing yards on 179 attempts. This is from the NFL stats. 4.5 yards per carry. In terms of ranking, they're 31st out of 32 teams in rushing defense this season.
And Jeffrey Simmons is out. They're arguably their best defensive player. Arguably their best player, period.
And Cam Ward, if you're looking for a prop on the other side, passing attempts over 34.5. If the Titans are going to be in this thing, it certainly isn't because they're running the ball down the Colts' throat.
Nah.
If they're behind, they have to abandon the run. Take a look at Cam Ward, over 34.5 passing attempts.
That is Jason Hammer again tonight after a win last Thursday. He likes Chargers -3, so win by more than 3. Keenan Allen over 5.5 catches. Justin Herbert to throw a pick. And then Pacer action tonight. That first 3-pointer of the game, boy, that always gets my adrenaline going early in the game.
That's good money, man. Plus 295.
Plus 295 for the green light that is Benedict Matherin. I have no doubt he will shoot the first 3-pointer. It's more of if it'll go in. And then for Sunday, Jonathan Taylor, $10 to win 80 if you would like. Plus 800 on 3 touchdowns or more.
And listen, if we lose every bet this week, if I go 0 for 3 tonight, if we don't cash any of our long shots, think of it this way. It could be worse. You could have to decide between going to federal prison and ratting out the mob, like Chauncey Billups is going to have to do.
Yeah.
Worst ways to spend a Thursday, you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah, that is an accurate way to put it. Again, Degenerates Next Door, the podcast twice a week. You can hear him every afternoon over on Sister Station WIBC. He is Jason Hammer. Hammer, thank you for the Woodford.
Thank you, guys. Let's win some money tonight. Let's win Chauncey Billups like money tonight. Let's go.
Busted. I still think that's a good one.
I'm throwing a tomato at you, brother.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I got a show to go. I'm out of here.
That is a great Jason Hammer exiting our studio. All right, we'll close it out one final time here on what has turned out to be quite the busy Thursday here on The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, fitting on a day like today that I've got to place my Pacers bets. What I have settled on, and the bet was just placed, is for them to make the playoffs. They are a notable underdog to miss the playoffs, which, again, I'm still surprised by. So to be one of the top 8 seeds, there you go. The bet is placed plus 152. So a little bit of juice on that there from a Pacers side of it. Pacers Thunder tonight, 7:30 inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. The leading scorer for the Pacers tonight will be who?
Benedict Matherin. I'm
Over
rolling
Pascal
with my boy.
Siakam?
Over Pascal. Benedict, like, y'all gonna pay me. I'm going to get 30 tonight. And it'll be with like 12 free throws because he always gets fouled.
He was on his way to about 50 the other night in that preseason
Yeah.
game. You know, I'm curious just how much they put on Andrew Nembhard's plate, minutes played. You know, if we get late in the game, do we see Nembhard on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at all? I assume it'll be Benedict Matherin to start the game. But, like, when you get to those final few minutes, how much will Rick Carlisle pick and choose his spots with Nembhard? Or is he saying, hey, he's too damn valuable for us on the other end of the floor?
I think it's probably that, man.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody who's available to run your offense and fresh enough to do it at a high level.
So, again, we'll have your coverage beginning with Pat Boylan, that pregame show coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. Just to remind everybody, highly encouraged from the Pacers, get in your seats early tonight. It's a 7:30 tip, but get in there early. Couple things. First, they'll unveil that Eastern Conference banner, but most importantly, they'll honor the great Nancy Leonard. There will be a moment of silence and then a definite encouragement of a standing ovation to follow that. So it should be a fun night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse here as the opener for the Pacers. Then they're on the road. They're on the road for 3 back-to-back this weekend, Memphis and Minnesota at Dallas coming up on Wednesday. James, as we shift gears to the Colts, practice number 2 coming up today. Josh Downs out of a red jersey, Kenny Moore practicing. I assume those are the 2 items that you'll be watching for?
Yes, and also Jalen Jones, is he a full participant versus being limited yesterday? So a couple of housekeeping items there for sure.
We didn't get a chance to get to the AD Mitchell audio. I want to get to it tomorrow. You have mentioned that your conversation with AD you thought was pretty enlightening, and the news cycle this morning, very rarely does it derail us a bit here, but it did. So we'll get to that coming up on tomorrow's show.
Yeah, I'll have a full story as well coming tomorrow.
Up on the Athletic website there. But just to recap everything that's happened this morning, it sounds like we'll get some more clarity here at the top of the hour, but FBI investigation has led to the arrest of Terry Rozier, longtime NBA guard, currently with the Miami Heat, and that, I guess, is in reference to a game he played a couple of years ago with the Charlotte Hornets. And then a separate investigation has led to the arrest of Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups for a poker game affiliated somehow, some way, shape, or form with the Mafia. Those are real headlines, just to clarify that with everybody here. Have I missed anything else? Has anything else come out?
Did you mention Damon Jones as well?
Yeah, so Damon Jones is currently out of the NBA, right? But longtime player and former assistant as well. He has been arrested, is that right?
Yep. So we'll certainly...
And is he affiliated with Chauncey or something separate? Do we know anything?
I don't know. I guess that's what we'll find out here at the top of the hour.
And quite the timing. I just saw an ad on my Twitter account. It's from DraftKings, and it says best 5 to get 300, and the face on it is LeBron James. Probably not the best timing, I would say, for that ad to
Lord,
be
if LeBron ever got
populating in
swept up
some
in this,
feeds.
I feel like the whole sports universe would burn.
Press conference upcoming at 10 a.m. to kind of recap all of that. Thursday Night Football tonight is Chargers and Vikings. And again, Pacers on our airwaves coming up 7:30 tonight. It is the opener, Pacers and Thunder inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Enjoy that. Us 3 again tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.